And welcome back to Video Games. Tim Rogers here with Action Button Live. Streaming exclusively on the Action Button Goblin Bunker Network. Accessible only at twitch.tv/actionbutton. I can't hear the music at all tonight because I didn't put my headphones on. I'm trying to use muscle memory to yell at approximately the volume I normally yell at when wearing the headphones. How did I do? I'll be the judge of that when I remix the audio in DaVinci Resolve tonight. We've got a show of indeterminate size for you tonight. Probably a little show. It's probably going to be a little show because I don't really feel like doing a big show tonight. I was in the middle of a particular work task all day today. And I kind of just want to get back to it. So you may have noticed I'm wearing a slightly different sort of attire today than I usually do. Now let me tell you about this. This is one of my jackets. This is a sport jacket. This is my sport jacket. It's a sport jacket. I very often, basically the primary function of this sport jacket is I wear it sometimes in my house. I put it on and I go, "Hey, Mimsy, check this out." And I say, "Look at my sport jacket." And she says, "Okay." And she sees it and she says, "It's good." I got refunded for my Cokes, by the way. I got refunded. They sent me a refund. Let me see if I can prove it to you. Hold on. Basically, the sport jacket is just all about... It is all about, there you go. Right? See that? $9.73 for Coca-Cola Zero Sugar Soda, 12-pack. That's 2 cases, by the way. So basically, these expired Cokes, I sent them another picture, and it was interesting because they would not let me say anything about why I was returning them. I think they just assumed it was the same reason as before. I wanted to give them a piece of my freaking mind. I promise you this jacket's a lot more impressive when the camera's not looking down. When you can see it kind of more level, it's a bit more impressive. I'm just saying. So I got this jacket about a year and a half ago, and I've been wearing it intermittently during the colder months, sort of the colder days of spring. I wear it under my big old raincoat in the fall and the winter time. And I was wearing this jacket on the street in New York, Manhattan on Saturday. I'm going to tell you this. I was wearing basically this exact outfit, this jacket, this polo shirt, and a pair of jeans. And I do have a big belt with the jeans, which is not necessarily what you want to wear with the sport jacket. Normally, you'd want to wear a slimmer belt. It's fine that I'm wearing a big belt. I'm fine with it. So I was wearing this, and I was walking down the street, and a young man stopped me, said, "Oh, it's Tim Rogers." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "What's with the suit? Are you releasing a new video tomorrow?" And I said, "Man, I just said, man, God darn it. No. Why would you ask me that?" And I literally asked, I said, "No, why do you think that?" And he said, "Well, because you're dressed up. I thought maybe you were filming something to do during a stream." And I'm like, no. I said, I simply, I'm a fully grown adult man, and I have come to appreciate the simplicity of bespoke tailored menswear. It's an easy kind of it's kind of a shortcut to self-expression for me. I like wearing this. So I've been wearing this jacket casually, okay? Anyway, I'm wearing this jacket right now for that guy. So that he won't be confused anymore. Because if I wear this jacket in the casual situation like this, streaming live on Twitch, then it seems more. Then I can kind of gradually become the kind of guy who just dresses like this. And I would like to gradually become the kind of guy who dresses like this live on a stream. The camera angle is really bad for this jacket. Trust me, it's way more impressive. Like, see how you can see the top of my head at the top of the frame, but you also see my belt? It's because the camera's tilted down. It's tilted down about 22.5 degrees. It should be, if it were dead on and I was sitting like behind a desk, you would think you were watching, you would think you were watching like a Japanese news broadcast in like the early 1980s, late 1970s, and you'd had a stroke. Probably. You'd probably think you'd had a stroke as well. But that's what you would think. Now, if I took this jacket off, you see this black polo shirt? If I took this jacket off, it's a long sleeve black polo shirt. You'd look at me and you'd be like, is that guy just getting off a shift working at a restaurant? But with this jacket on, you look at it, you're like, it looks like something Humphrey Bogart would wear, right? Right? Someone says lean back 22.5 degrees. Or something like that. Still, it doesn't, it's not perfectly communicatable, this angle. Someone was asking what they should do during their trip to New York City this week. I would recommend eat some pizza? I don't know. We got Randall in the chat asking, was this jacket made for me? It sure was, yeah. I had this jacket made bespoke because I really wanted one. And I'd been kind of crawling around some of the vintage markets and such. And I'd been trying on a lot of jackets, I wanted a houndstooth Harris Tweed sport jacket. I really wanted a houndstooth Harris Tweed sport jacket. I always wanted one, a brown one. I know the rule is no brown in town, but I'm a freaking American man, and this ain't London, right? So I can kind of wear this whenever I want. I can wear it whenever I want. Nobody can have a problem with it unless they want to. But I tried on a bunch of houndstooth tweed jackets, and they were all really vintage and really worn and really old, and it's just not really a fabric that feels really good to wear when it doesn't fit correctly and it's really old. It kind of feels like you're wearing like a condemned hotel's carpet as a jacket. And I also was and this is something I have I have slightly less qualms about purchasing or somebody's sofa upholstery. God, when we was doing LA Noir, I looked at a lot of chairs, like office chairs that had Harris Tweed on the upholstery on the back of the office chair, and I'm telling you, man, 80-year-old Harris Tweed upholstery, it wears really bad, especially because it just kind of, when you get a couple decades of grease and dust kind of ground in there, it's pretty freaking gnarly. But something I would have fewer issues about buying vintage would be, I want like a raw silk sport jacket. I've had last time I saw my tailor, he did pitch me on on the possibility of a silk sport jacket. But I just kind of, that's what I'm still holding on to, the dream of finding used somewhere and buying. But some people don't have a grandfather's old Harris Tweed sport jacket. I know I don't, and if I did, I'd probably be wearing it. But I had to become my own grandfather and purchase this, and I do want a gray herringbone tweed sport jacket at some point. But this is my my houndstooth sport jacket, and I really like it. I can wear it with t-shirts, turtlenecks, Oxfords, dress shirts, striped shirts, solid shirts, not patterned shirts, not flannel shirts. Because I was watching a lot of Seinfeld. This is the stupidest freaking reason to do anything. And there was a few episode stretch where there was an episode where George wore like four different. There was like a 3-episode stretch where George Costanza, who is a menswear icon, by the way, wore like 4 different tweed sport jackets across like 3 episodes. And then there's an episode where Elaine's ex-boyfriend, the author Jake Jarmel, who she broke up with because she stopped to buy some Juji fruit after he'd been in a car accident. And she's meeting him as he's doing a book signing at Walden Books. And every time they go to the bookstore to show Jake Jarmel in the bookstore, he's wearing a different brown tweed sport jacket every time, right? They had 3 brown tweed sport jackets ready for this guy playing a author to wear. And this was a couple years ago that I just had it looping on the TV while I did really, really tedious work. And back in 2021, Lord. And I was like, I really, really want because I look over at the TV. I can see the TV fully when I do this. Not the most flattering angle for my face or haircut, but I could see the TV fully. And I was like, you know what? I could go for a brown tweed sport jacket. I could do it. And honestly, I kind of want another brown tweed sport jacket, one that's like a darker brown, because this has, you can't really tell, but this has this pink thread and this powder blue thread in it. So it has these 2 extra colors that are custom to the tailor. They're proprietary to the tailor who made it for me. It is official Harris Tweed, which means it is woven in the actual. It is woven inside the households of the people of that particular zone. It is woven. It is hand woven by good Scottish people, right? So that's what I wanted. Communicate my Scottish heritage a little bit while simultaneously giving me a little bit of that 1940s sweetness. Giving me a little bit of that 1940s sweetness. I wanted something that looked like Humphrey Bogart might have worn. Something. I was also watching the film In a Lonely Place, where he has an outfit where he wears a tweed sport jacket and a black polo shirt underneath it. And that was the look I wanted. Pairing black and brown is kind of difficult. And I just thought, I want to be able to wear a black polo shirt with a brown tweed sport jacket and some jeans is what I'd like to do in my life. And now I'm able to do it. Someone says Dye Workwear did a great thread on tweed. He did, yeah. So I did not know this at the time. So the tailor that I go to for my clothes is a guy who does trunk shows in New York. I will talk in detail about my tailors at some point in the future. But I did not know this when I first learned about this tailor and decided to go with this tailor. But they happen to be one of the menswear guys' favorite tailors, which I think is really interesting. So he and I have a accidentally convergent taste in tailors, so that's fun. But you can rest assured that this adheres to all the rules of how a jacket should fit. You like the roped shoulders? You get a little bit of the roping up there, so that that's how you know it's English. You want to look English. You want to look English. You don't want to not look English. I don't want to say who my tailor is yet. I will at some point. The reason I don't want to say it is because I don't want you all to follow them on Instagram and then see me in their Instagram stories, because it'll spoil stuff. Because they post pics of me sometimes wearing their stuff. So, because I send them pics or they take pics or whatever, and it would spoil something. Well, I drank a Coke in my sport Coke. I drank a Coke. Today, it was raining a lot in Manhattan and I had to go outside and I didn't want to. I've been having, let's just say, a sort of a problem that keeps me wanting to be near the bathroom. So I've had sort of an inclination to remain near the toilet the past couple of days. Unfortunately, though I did have to go out today, and when I came back, I was walking down the sidewalk behind my house on a street Mimsy and I like to call Turd Stain Alley. Turd Stain Alley, because everybody with the dog in the neighborhood. Here's the thing. My building has a courtyard. But it's not really a courtyard, because a courtyard is supposed to be between two sort of eventful buildings, right? It's supposed to be like between two sort of wall-like areas. Whereas our courtyard are buildings like this, and the courtyard is just kind of between them, and it's got a fence lined up on the sidewalk, meaning the courtyard, it's not between the buildings. It's right up against the sidewalk. So in other words, we have a whole sidewalk surrounding our building. Remember, big, wide sidewalk that the neighborhood kids immediately after school, just about every freaking day, use like a Mario Kart track for city bike. They get on city bikes and they ride around our building like a Mario Kart track. So there's this back road. I call it Turd Stain Alley because all the neighborhood people with dogs walk their dogs on this road. This sidewalk, which again, the fence just looks out on some trees in a courtyard, meaning it's not like there's a building facade right there accessible on the sidewalk. The building facade is separated some distance of 200 feet from the fence across this courtyard. Therefore, people feel it more of a private place to take their dogs, who then defecate, and then the people don't pick it up. So this sidewalk is full of plastered turds that have been run over by city bikes, ridden by children who laugh and laugh as they use my apartment building's footprint as a Mario Kart track just about every day after school. Does this make sense? So as I'm walking down the sidewalk on the way home, there is a man approaching me. So there's occasionally persons dubious on this sidewalk. And this man is swinging his arms like this. And he's going, ah, ah, and he's swinging his arms really, really hard as he's walking down the sidewalk. And he's clear on the other side of the sidewalk, because as I've mentioned, it's a wide sidewalk. It's wide, okay? It is wide. But he's all on the other side of the sidewalk, and he's swinging his arms, kind of like a Boom Boom boss from Super Mario 3, video games reference. We've referenced video games. He's doing this, and he's swinging his arms, and he's coming toward me. And I see him about, 50 yards away. And I say to myself in my head, that freaking guy's going to hit me. I'm like, he's all the way on the other side of the sidewalk. I'm going to move a little more this way. He's over there. He's probably going to just drift this way. And there's just kind of a reasonably high likelihood that one of his swinging fists is going to collide with me. And so I'm walking down Turd Stain Alley, and surely enough, the man's arm did collide with me. And it didn't hurt or anything. I was wearing my MA1 flight jacket. The padding was quite adequate to completely nullify any sort of damage. I believe it was one of those. It hit me. I would say the fist collided with me something to the tune of, like, you know how like in Final Fantasy you get like 1 damage if you have not necessarily resistance to a particular attack type, but your defense is just high enough and the attack is just low enough. His fist collided with me, and then he turned and looked me right in the eye, and he said, "Excuse you," and then just with perfect clarity, then kept going, waving his arms around. I'm like, all right. So that happened today, and that's really all I've got that resembles anything kind of a story. But I can say this as well. Yesterday, speaking of Turd Stain Alley, yesterday I was sitting here at my desk working very close to the toilet, and I was working on something very, very, I wouldn't call it complicated, but I was working on something with tons and tons of moving, little tiny, tiny moving parts. And there was a guy, and I'm not complaining. In fact, I'm a little bit impressed, and I'm a little bit proud of my neighborhood for not calling the cops. There was a guy from around 3 p.m. till around 9:22 p.m. when the cops showed up. But the cops weren't called during this whole 6 hours and 22 minutes. 9:22 p.m. the cops showed up. There was a guy in a wheelchair in the middle of the intersection right outside my window. Just screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming at cars, with kind of an incredibly sustained enthusiasm for 6 hours. And he was screaming to all of them a very simple message, perfectly loud and clear and audible. His message was, "Go home, go home." And I kept looking out the window just to see if he was all right. And he was fine. The cars were able to easily avoid him. He wasn't blocking traffic or anything. But I sat here all day working with that out the window. And there was this kind of a sort of a bizarre collision of emotions that a guy feels with something like that going on outside the window. And what were they? Do we have time to get into all of them? Maybe not. But it was interesting. I hope that guy's okay. But he was out there for well over 6 hours telling everyone in their cars to go home. And I'm sitting here like, I am home. I am home. And I'm like, what does that mean? Well, I don't know. I don't know. And that's why I put on the jacket. How's everybody doing in the chat? How are we all doing in the chat? I guess I got another little New York story, to kind of a trio of crazy things that were just wild and kooky. We can call this the Peoples Be Wild in trilogy. Here's another one. Mimsy and I went to see the film Wicked 2. We went to see the film Wicked 2. Right? We went to see it. It's called something else. It's not called Wicked 2 or Wicked Part 2. It's called Wicked something. I don't have time to learn what it's called. It's called Wicked for Good, okay? I know what it's called. You don't need to freaking tell me what it's called. I went to see it because here's the thing. There's one main reason I went to see Wicked 2, which is, I'm going to tell you what the reason is. The reason is because I finish what I start. I told Mimsy we have to go see Wicked 2, and she said no. And I said, Mimsy, I finish what I start. We have to go see Wicked 2. And I've got to say, first of all, yeah, I like The Wizard of Oz as a cultural artifact. I think it's an interesting enough thing. And when I first heard about the book Wicked, I kind of guessed that it was like a sort of a Metal Gear Solid 3 kind of thing. And I kind of guessed it would be something like that. The ending that I had in my head when I saw the first part of Wicked, it's exactly what happened in Wicked Part 2. There were no surprises. I never saw the Broadway show. But the ending, the conclusion of the movie was more or less precisely what I thought it would be. Except the very last little tiny twist. There's a particular character that I didn't expect to be present in a particular twist at the end of the story. We don't need to talk about the actual story craft of Wicked. Anyway, here's my quick review of Wicked Part 2. Number 1, the colors were a little bit better. The saturation was a little bit higher. Some of the blacks almost looked like navy blue. Right? It actually, like, no joke. Some of the black parts of the screen looked like charcoal gray, right? It was there. Like, there was almost black in the movie. It was still, I would not ever call the color grading good. I think they really buttered up the football with the first one and fumbled it pretty hard. The Wizard of Oz, the quintessential Technicolor film. I think they did the color grading insanely dirty in the first part, and they actually very quietly tweaked it a little bit more toward the saturated side for the second part. So my eyes, I didn't feel like I was like squinting at cave paintings the way I did at the first one. So that was fine. Number 2, I don't think any of the songs were very good. Number 3, I think the musical segments were extremely uninteresting to look at. Number 4, I think that editing was some of the editing stuff was really, really mistakulous. There were I counted at one point 4 times in a row there were 180-degree rule violations, and I was as a guy who's just kind of stared at movies a little bit too much. I was like, that's kind of bad. I don't know. It's kind of bad. Number 5, I was impressed with the resonance of some of the emotional messaging in the story. Number 6, I literally had to look it up after the movie whether or not they made Ariana Grande's head the same size as her torso on purpose using CG, and Google AI told me I was being mean. I thought they big head moded her. I thought they'd sprinkled her with a little bit of that hobbitization powder that Peter Jackson been keeping squirreled away. It was just the cut of her jacket, the cut of her dress, the way the bodice, the corset area, then the way the skirt joined, the roping. There was a way it was cut a specific way. And I was like, did they use CG to make her head bigger? And Google AI was like, what you're doing is body shaming. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm actually curious about this. And it was like, you shouldn't body shame people. And I was like, okay, you shouldn't, but I'm actually curious. And then it's like, there have been many rumors about Ariana Grande's anorexia and alleged stories of eating disorders and rumors that have plagued her entire career. And I'm like, that's not what I was asking. I was honestly, sincerely curious as to whether they made her head bigger with CG. I didn't know that. I thought maybe there was supposed to be she's got munchkin blood the way I got redneck blood or whatever. The other guy, there's like a little guy, like he's supposed to be a munchkin. Did they like hobbitize him to make him shorter? I don't know. I got number 7, I would say, is that freaking Tin Man guy could sing, dude. I was like, wow. That Tin Man guy, I mean, he was in the other one, but I was like, wow, shoot. He sings for like 20 seconds or whatever in the movie, and I'm like, man, that guy must be a freaking pro. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I don't know this guy's name. He's got to be a pro of some sort. Anyway, number 8, they got Michelle Yeoh singing a couple of times, and leave her alone. Right? Don't make fun of her. I feel the same way about Michelle Yeoh's singing in Wicked Part 2 as I do about Russell Crowe, a.k.a. Maximus, the Gladiator, singing in Les Miserables. People are like, oh, he can't sing. It's like, I don't know. Maybe that character, and this is a stretch, right? But I'm not a musicals guy. I'm like, maybe that character shouldn't be able to sing. Right? Maybe that character shouldn't be able to sing. Maybe that character should be a bad singer. She was in freaking Wing Chun. Like, leave her alone. She was Wing Chun, dude. Leave her alone. Super cop, right? Freaking leave her alone. Right? Right? I honestly think, lowercase j saying prisoner 24601. Yeah, I honestly think it was really inspired to have Russell Crowe sing that bad in Les Miserables. I really think I think that worked out stylistically because that character should not be able to sing. Not so sure about the Michelle Yeoh. Not so sure. I really think having Russell Crowe versus Hugh Jackman, where Hugh Jackman is insanely high degree, extremely high degree, ultra hyper trained professional vocalist, in addition to whatever else it is he does. I think having juxtaposing the characters of Javert and Jean Valjean, like juxtaposing those two characters and having one who is a masterful vocalist and then one who sucks. I think that's actually smart. I think that was actually interesting. I think, right? I think it was actually interesting. So I saw someone defending Michelle Yeoh in Wicked because she didn't want to be in it because she said, I can't sing. I think it's wrong. But the director was like, I don't care. You got to do it. And she said, well, okay. And she took that money that she doesn't need because her husband is a billionaire, right? She doesn't need it. She doesn't need it. She doesn't need any of that money. She hasn't for a very long time, but she's beautiful and she's wonderful and she's talented. She has an Oscar for a movie that sucked. Can we just say it? Is it fine now? I remember seeing in the early days of Blue Sky, if you said anything negative about that movie, people jumped right down your throat with both feet, right? Feet first. Right? They jump right down your throat. That movie was not good, man. That movie was very twee. It was a ukuleles movie. It was like a ukulele and tin whistle kind of movie. I don't know. It was not good. It was not good. Somebody saying it was a good date movie. I mean, I went with my girlfriend to the AMC in Indianapolis, Indiana, and watched it with a big old popcorn, and then went to White Castle afterward. So yeah, I had a good time at the movies, but that doesn't mean I experienced art, does it? Similarly, had a decent time watching Wicked Part 2. Number 9 about Wicked Part 2, and listen very carefully. As the credits began to roll, a very large, loud, and long fist fight erupted at the exit of the theater. At one point, I heard a girl yell at a guy, if you'd stop looking at your phone. And I looked on the ground and I saw a suitcase. Someone had either come to the theater directly from the airport or was on their way to the airport immediately after the film. A suitcase was lying diagonally sideways between two of the steps down from the stadium area of the theater. I take it that someone was wheeling their suitcase out and a guy was texting on his way down the stairs, as everyone does in New York. I was just on the stairs getting out of the train station and peoples were texting. Everyone is texting. I watched a guy speech to text his girlfriend or wife on the stairs. I watched him say, I just got here. I'll be home in 5 minutes. And then have to delete the whole thing and then do it again like 6 times on the stairs, going as slow as he could. I just got here. I'll be home in 5 minutes. I just got here. I'll be home in 5 minutes. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to freaking kill somebody. And I'm not going to kill anybody. But there's a certain point in New York City where the urge, the goddarn urge to scream, he's got a gun, becomes almost impossible to resist. Like, it's right there. It's right there, to scream, he's got a gun. It would solve a lot of the problems, people getting out of the train everyone gets out of the train and immediately just starts texting like this. Licking their lips and texting. And then it's just a carpet of people just gingerly resting on the stairs. Slowly, like one stair per like 6 seconds. And I'm just like, man, somebody's got to yell, he's got a gun. And then, we'll move on. Fire in a crowded theater. See, fire in a crowded theater doesn't have any utility. That's just mean, right? But shouting, he's got a gun on the stairs, you got 6 flights of stairs to get up to street level, and everyone's texting, I just got off the train. I am on the stairs on my way up to the street. I will see you on the sidewalk, right? Like, it's insane. You don't got to be talking to literally everyone, literally all the time. Now, what I would like to assume is that the guy who, I'm assuming he knocked her suitcase, he bumped into her suitcase, causing her to stumble, and then caused her suitcase to fall, to jostle out of her hand from the roll, the pull bar. Ooh, look at the line of that jacket sleeve. You see this? You see that line? It's like a freaking perfect cylinder. Everyone's talking to everyone everywhere all the time, all at once. And we've got to, I'm sure this guy was letterboxed logging Wicked 2, making some sort of post hoping it would get 1 million likes or whatever. He was probably posting, nobody told me this was literally Shrek for lesbians, not realizing that was already 2 of the top reviews on a Wicked 2. I checked. I saw that. There's Shrek for lesbians. 2 people said that. Like, where'd you get that from? Right? Okay. I mean, I'm thinking about it and not really. Maybe a little bit. I don't know. But that's what people were saying. I don't know. Who's regular Shrek for? I don't know. Right? So this he probably did read those 2 reviews before posting. No one told me this Wicked 2 is literally Shrek for lesbians. And then he bumps into her suitcase. It jostles out of her hand. It clunks down 2 stairs. And then she turned around. And I distinctly recall, before the fight breaking out, I recall a woman's voice shouting very loudly, "Boy!" Like that. I recall a piercing shout of, "Boy!" And then that's what caused me to look over. And then I heard someone go, "Oh my God!" And then she hit him, okay? I didn't see her hit him, but I heard one of the theater managers, like the theater staff in the hall, go, "Oh, she hit him." So she hit him. And then what he did was, not only did he hit her back, he had grabbed the back of her head with his hand and had slammed her head into the wall, which is padded. And then her boyfriend started beating him up. And then his girlfriend started beating her boyfriend up. And then somehow 2 other people got involved. And there was this massive fist fight of people just yelling and screaming and yelling and yelling and yelling. And me and Mimsy went out the other exit. And number 10, bullet point in my Wicked Part 2 review, number 10, is I had to wait in line at the men's bathroom behind, like, it's a tiny men's bathroom at the AMC, Times Square, Empire 25, Dolby. I had to wait in line behind, like, well over 100 men who were all dressed very, very well. I don't know what the deal was with that. That's the most I've ever seen in line after a movie. Number 11, my final point about Wicked 2. Wicked Part 2, Wicked 4, they're calling it. Wicked 4, good. Not so good for me. The final point is me and Mimsy are getting on the escalator to leave, and we'd agreed ahead of time that we were going to go to the Times Square Olive Garden to check it out because we'd never been. It's the most profitable single restaurant location in the entire world, if I understand correctly, and I think I do. We're on the escalator, and Mimsy, a true New Yorker, born and raised in New York, it occurs to me that The Wizard of Oz is a Kansas movie. Wicked is a New York movie. Not just because of the Emerald City, but because of the Broadway show, Wicked, right? Mimsy's a true New Yorker, born and raised in New York. She had attended the Wicked Broadway show twice in her life. She had seen it. Both times for the same classmate's birthday party, 2 separate years. Okay, this is important information. We're on the escalator on the way out. And I was like, well, that was Wicked Part 2. And then Mimsy goes, yeah, I don't remember any of that from the Broadway show. And I was like, all right. She's like, I seriously just forgot any of that even happened. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Really good bullet point to have from a true New Yorker. Apparently that's a big deal. Is that it's a big deal to know that part 2 or act 2 of Wicked isn't good, right? Is that it's a known fact in the Broadway theater going community. It's a known fact that Wicked Part 2 is not good, right? It's a known issue. It's a known issue that none of the songs are good in Act 2 of Wicked, right? Right? I'm not crazy for this, am I? Because Mimsy was telling me about it. And yeah, well, that's my review of Wicked 2. And the closing of this week's Peoples Be Wildin' trilogy, which is I don't remember any of the Act 2 songs either. I don't have any of the melodies. None of them stuck. None of the melodies stuck. They threw spaghetti at the wall and it all slid down to the ground, much like the Olive Garden spaghetti would. Because that was not al dente enough to stick to a wall. I didn't eat any. I watched. Let me tell you something about the Times Square Olive Garden. I'm going to tell you about this. It's honestly a freaking vibe. It's honestly a vibe. There are 3 floors. So I had walked past it so many times when I worked at Kotaku, and after Kotaku had moved to Times Square, if I were taking, I liked to get on the R or N train. I like to get on the R or N train from 49th Street. So I would walk up a couple of blocks from our office was on 45th. So I would walk up to 49th because then I was guaranteed a seat on the train. Because when you go to Times Square, all bets are off, and there might be a ton of people getting on the train. So I would walk up to get on at 49th Street, and it was decent to do that. I had my pick. It was either that, Rockefeller Center, or 42nd Street to get on the NRW, whatever. So I would go up to 49th, get on the train there, and then I would have to walk around the side of the Olive Garden, which is across the street from the Hershey's and the M&M store. The Olive Garden's in the building with the famous ancient Coca-Cola ad that McCann Erickson Coca-Cola's had on the front of that building near the tickets bleachers. It's on that famous wedge intersection of Times Square. If I understand correctly, it's the single most profitable restaurant location anywhere in the entire world. And that's kind of saying something. But Olive Garden's not, you live in New York, there's plenty of Italian food, but it's like we went to see a movie, we went to see Running Man, and we enjoyed going to Red Lobster, also in Times Square. And this week we joked, because last time Mimsy was like, I either want to go to Red Lobster or Olive Garden. And I was like, well, let's do Olive Garden next time. And boy, oh boy, it's a vibe in there. It's not necessarily like, I'm not qualifying the vibe. I'm just saying it is certifiably a vibe. There is a vibe going on in the Times Square Olive Garden. It's pretty dark. There's pockets of it where the air smells like cleaning product in a way that honestly kind of reverse reassures one. You don't really want a place to smell audibly like cleaning product, right? You don't really want that. You kind of would prefer if a place smelled nice, but not necessarily like cleaning products. You know what I mean? Right? It's kind of like when you're in a restaurant, you don't want to smell like a hint of bleach, because that means something rancid happened, diaper style, right? Like the Windex smell, the ammonia smell, the bleachy smell. You don't want to hear that. You don't want to smell that. You don't want to smell like, even like Pledge lemony furniture polish. You don't want to smell no Murphy's oil soap, right? You don't want to smell that. Anyway, there were pockets of that. And I'm just going to say, and this is not, I'm not passing any judgment whatsoever, but when I was on my way to the bathroom, there's some party booths on the way to the bathroom, like some circular booths where you can sit with a bunch of homies, right? And then there was like a closed off party room. Okay, so toward the bathroom, there's a closed off sort of party room that I guess you can request, reserve, rent, and you can sit in there with a large group of people. There was no birthday party happening in there. But there were two people just having intercourse in there, which honestly, people's be wildin', first of all. It kind of really, it revolted me in a way I was not fully expecting. Like, I didn't expect to see that. Now they were fully clothed, and they were, this was right at the end as I was about to leave. This was like, I just was going to use the old toilet to, wash the, I picked up a breadstick so I could smell it. I'm not going to eat it because, my body's a freaking, CPU constructed in a clean room and whatnot. I'm not going to freaking eat the breadstick, but I'd picked up a breadstick to smell it. And I was like, well, I got to take a leak and then wash my hands to get the breadstick off. And I just kind of looked in. I was like, oh, they got a party room in there. And then where the angles are kind of occluded, you'd have to I'm like, look at that party room. You can have a party in there. That could be funny. I look in and there's just two young people's wilding in there. And I'm like, I just look in, I'm like, there's just two young people's wilding. And I was like, don't need to see that. And I was like, the Times Square Olive Garden's ruined for me now. It's ruined. I was going to invite all my friends to have a big party there, but I don't have any friends. And I decided I'd rather not have any friends than have a party at the Times Square Olive Garden party room. I mean, the party room would have been the right room, too. It would have been funny. I think it would have been funny to have like a Goblin Bunker action button discord.gg/action button Ulfkai in the Olive Garden party room because it's huge. But they wound it. They wound it. Peoples be wild and they wound it. Peoples be wild and they wound it. Right? And I was like, man, it's depressing. It would be funny to have an Ofkai there. Everybody knows what an Ofkai is, right? We all know what that is. It would have been funny to have an Ofkai. You get the unlimited salad and breadsticks and soup, right? Build your own. They have build your own pasta. Is it called build your own pasta or make your own pasta? I don't know which one is funnier. Build your own pasta. It's funny. Right? I don't know. But they ruined it. They couldn't control themselves and they ruined it. They couldn't control themselves. They couldn't. So they ruined it. Because, they say there's a lack of third places now. There's a lack of third places. They really are. When I was a kid, growing up in, hick towns, U.S. Army installations, college towns, there were third places. When I was in college in Bloomington, Indiana University, Bloomington, Indiana, go Hoosiers, etc. When I was growing up in Indiana, when I was going to college in Bloomington, Indiana, we had restaurants. We had Bears, we had Mustards, and we had La Chariota. I'm trying to make a Hopes, Cash, and Jobs joke here, but it's a freaking tall order. But we had Bears and Mustards. We had Mama Bear's Pizza. We had all of these mommy and pappy kind of independently owned small business gathering places. Now, I lived across the street, through a scrub of woods, the other side of a ditch, from a place called Mustards. Now, if there's anyone in the chat who has ever been to Mustards in Bloomington, Indiana, speak friend and enter, for we be brothers. Speak friend and enter, because Mustards got shut down. Okay, Mustards was by all accounts, and when I say all accounts, I mean my own accounts, the accounts of me. Mustards was a pretty bad family-style diner to the tune of an O'Charlie's or Bennigan's or one of these sort of forgotten, fabled American-style family restaurants, the kinds of which litter highways. The thing that Mustards had that set it apart was it was independent. It was a single location. Someone had built a place as borderline soulless as an O'Charlie's in a parking lot of a strip mall with a video store and a Borders bookstore. They had built something Shoney's tier, a little better than Shoney's. They had built something a little above Shoney's tier on their own, and they called it Mustards, okay? And then there was also in this same parking lot a Chi-Chi's, okay? There was a Chi-Chi's. That's a celebration of food, okay? They had Chi-Chi's, a celebration of food. Someone had built their own American Dream franchise, untethered, diner-style, family-style restaurant, and it was called Mustards. Now, they had breakfasts and they had lunches. You could get a sandwich. Here's what they had that was unique to them. They had a mustard bar. Now, they didn't have a salad bar or a soup bar. They didn't have the free breadsticks of the Olive Garden out in front of the mall. However, they had a mustard bar. They had mustards from around the world. By the world, let's call it what it is, freaking Europe. Basically Europe and a couple American states. I think there might have been 2 or 3 Canadian mustards in there as well. They had a lot of different mustards, mostly German, Bavarian, Austrian. They had some mustards from Belgium and Liechtenstein and France. They had some mustards from Switzerland. They had many mustards. Now they were in bowls of a sort. They were in kind of your square shaped plastic tubs of a sort where there's kind of a bed of ice underneath them to keep them from rotting or developing a chewy skin as they sit there under the room temperature air for the duration of the business day. I don't know exactly what level of task it comprised to keep that mustard bar up to code. However, they had a lot of mustards sit there sitting in the open air. Only a sneeze guard between you and destiny. And you could dip your little ladle and you could put the mustard in a little cup and then you could dip all of their numerous dippables. That's mozzarella sticks. You could dip those in mustard. They had marinara sauce in the mustard bar as well. They had all this mustard. Now, I can only imagine like pudding skin style bacteria growth happening. I can imagine it happening in the space of less than a day. Okay? So how they kept this place up to code, I don't know. Chances are inspectors never visited, maybe money passing under the table. But at some point during my final semester on campus, mustards got straight up shut down with a sign on the door saying, "We found something nasty in here. We ain't gonna tell you what, but it's done. We're done." There was a horseradish mustard as well. They said, they're freaking done. Mustards is done. I heard some people saying later, save mustards, bring mustards back, get mustards back, help mustards. The founders of mustards need help. It was kind of too late before it even started trying to get help for the founders of mustards. Mustards got shut the heck down. And they were gone. They were gone in the space of a god-darn day. I think mom and pop skipped town. I think they were freaking selling the leftover mustard at yard sales upstate. Upstate Indiana, by the way, is it's not as luxurious as mid-state Indiana, let me tell you. So, what was my order of choice at mustards? I got a big old grilled cheese sandwich with the hot chip style French fries, the big old chubby ones, and then I got a big old side order of mozzarella sticks. Now, the mozzarella sticks had all the charm of a hand-rolled cigarillo. They had all the charm of a hand-rolled spliff. The mozzarella sticks weren't that stupid stuff came tumbling out of a brown paper freezer style food service bag of homogenized kind of flat textured mozzarella sticks. These things were chubbly, nubbly, knobbly. They were all kind of bramblous, okay? They were uneven, organic. They were like legit style. The cheese wasn't some perfect rectangular prism wrapped in some skin-like sack of breading. They were weird mozzarella sticks. Someone's asking if I've ever had the White Castle mozzarella sticks. Freaking ban yourself. How can you goddarn ask me that? Do I look like a freaking man who has never eaten the White Castle mozzarella sticks? Okay, maybe I do because of the sport jacket. Don't let the sport jacket fool you. I've eaten the White Castle mozzarella sticks thousands of times. I've dipped them in the honey mustard as well, okay? I'm a vegetarian, and I've been a big White Castle fan for my whole life, okay? So, you do the math, okay? Okay, you do it. You do the math. I lived in Wichita, Kansas, birthplace of White Castle and Pizza Hut. You know I've had a lot of White Castle and Pizza Hut in my disgusting life. I may have been born under a car, okay? Or wherever it was. I don't know. I may have been abandoned in the hospital by a freaking cocaine addict. But Savile Row, baby. Like, I freaking made it here on purpose. Anyway, mustards got shut down Sign on the door, we found something. People outside, save mustards. Mom and pop upstate selling the leftover mustard by the goddarn ladleful. And what's a boy? Let's face it, I was not an adult. I was not an adult till I was like 29. What's a boy to do with his off-campus girlfriend? If Mustard's is shut down, it's right across the street from our freaking house, right? What's a boy to do? Well, there's a Chi-Chi's, there's an Applebee's, and there's a Chili's. I was describing all of this to Mimsy at Olive Garden while she took a tour of Italy, as they call it, which the tour of Italy is they give you a big plate that has a chicken parmesan on one side, a fettuccine alfredo in the middle, and then a piece of lasagna on the right, and then you get an unlimited salad and breadsticks. Okay. I was explaining Mimsy's just kind of housing this, not glacially housing it at what I would consider sort of a polite societal velocity. She's housing this tour of Italy. So, and she's like, next time I'm just going to get the seafood Alfredo. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, hey, you know, you go girl, YOLO, etc. Nominated for a game award, thinking about the seafood Alfredo. I'm telling Mimsy about the death of third places. I'm doing it, right? I'm doing it. And I'm telling Mimsy about how Mustard's got shut down. And she's like, that's weird. And we're talking about it, and I'm like, you know, Applebee's kind of really shredded America. They're kind of the Walmart of the American diner. Walmart's showed up, and people loved the convenience. They loved being able to go into one building and buy their groceries and bath towels or whatever. They loved not having to travel to multiple stores on the high street or the main street. And they ended up going to Walmart, which became a parasite, which just completely ate their entire community. And they're hiring people and paying them $1.27 an hour, and sending a memo to their employees. You might want to get a second job if you want to buy your children Christmas presents. Literally, right? Literally, right? We used to have multiple stores and supermarkets and mom and pops and a hardware store you can walk into and say, oh, I need a Black & Decker drill. We got one back here, and the box was a little dusty, and you'd buy it, and you'd keep a man alive by purchasing your Black & Decker drill in a box that's a little dusty. And, you know, we heard people tell us and warn us about this and tell us, oh, you got to buy from the mom and pop stores. Don't go to Walmart. I'm boycotting Walmart. And we all thought those people were kooky. We all thought they were goddarn hippies or whatnot. And they were. That doesn't stop them from being right. I worked at a Target store for 8 years, and I can tell you, absolutely, Target's better than Walmart. But, I don't know, man. The corporations, not so good. Not so good. But I think Applebee's is kind of a beautiful example of the evils of capitalism. Because before Applebee's showed up in every town had some diners. Every town had a bar that had some booths, and you could go to the bar and you could order a chicken sandwich. You could order a basket of French fries. You could order a plate of nachos. You could order some mozzarella sticks. You could bring your kids and get your kid a Coke. There's a pool table. You can play pool. There's a big TV. And whatever the big sports game happening right now is, you can pretty much guarantee it's on that TV. There's also a bar that you can sit at and drink a beer. Every town I ever lived in America, back when I, lived in redneck zones, every town had one or many of those. Okay? Now, these sorts of places still exist, right? They do. They do still exist. It's just, they started getting squeezed out. And you hear parents, or at least you would hear parents at the time, or, when I was in college and when I had some older friends who were telling me about things their children were up to, things their children had heard at school. Like, I try to keep my children away from McDonald's. I don't want them to eat fast food. But all their friends talk about McDonald's all the time, and I can't keep them from McDonald's, so I take them to McDonald's. And I let them have McDonald's. I let the poison into my children. I poisoned my children, and I'll do it again if it makes them glad. And I'm like, yeah, that happens. Something similar happened with the teenagers of my era with places like Applebee's and Chili's and TGI Fridays. And TGI Fridays, I was telling Mimsy that Applebee's is a far more pernicious cancer on the American culture than TGI Fridays. And Mimsy goes, no, they're the same thing. And I'm like, no, they're not. They're not the same thing. TGI Fridays, this thing is they have a bunch of stuff on the wall, and the waitresses and waiters wear vests with pins all over them. They have stuff on the wall. Applebee's, this thing is nothing. It's just restaurant. It's just restaurant. It's just restaurant. The servers are wearing a polo shirt. TGI Fridays, they have their Reddit flair all over their god-darn vest. Right? Hard Rock Cafe, they got guitars that a guy might have touched hanging on the wall. Planet Hollywood, they got something Arnold Schwarzenegger or something Sylvester Stallone took a dump on at some point, just kind of nailed to the wall with a nail gun, right? All of these places had there's a lot of these kooky restaurants that had some kind of museum factor, some kind of attraction factor, right? That Applebee's doesn't have. Chili's, here's what Chili's has. Chili's has bottomless tortilla chips. They have bottomless tortilla chips. They do. And they got salsa, and it's like $2.99, or at least it was last I checked. We don't have Chili's around here. Chili's, they got the baby back ribs. They have the Chili's baby back ribs song. They got the song. Chili's has some queso. They have some southwestern Tex-Mex tinged trash. They had some veggie burgers. They had some nonsense, right? They still do, I take it. I saw an ad during the football saying they got a burger you can get. It's got unlimited French fries and unlimited tortilla chips. I was like, and they got Impossible Meat. Is y'all trying to kill me? Good thing they don't have one near here, because I would be making a waste of this jacket. I would go there and gain 86 pounds. Probably in about a day. I think Chili's is fine. And if you were driving, Chili's is, I know there's a Chili's in Queens, but that's not real. For me, a Chili's has to be by the highway in the American Midwest, or it's not a real Chili's. Everything y'all got on Long Island, it's not a real version of a thing. It feels like it was brought over in a little tugboat, is what it feels like. Okay? All the franchises y'all have over there, it feels like they were brought over on a little tiny tugboat, like little tiny Tommy's Tinky tugboat brought it over. And it's like, oh, here's a table. We'll be back with a chair. And then, they build their Chili's just kind of one stick of furniture at a time over a period of literally years. Anyway, I was trying to explain to Mimsy that Applebee's perniciousness stems from the fact that they strived to be the most ordinary place. Applebee's slogan. I know Applebee's slogan. Don't say it. Don't say it. Olive Garden's got unlimited salad and breadsticks, and they have Italian food. Olive Garden's slogan is, when you're here, you're family. When you're here, you're family. Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family. Right? That's Olive Garden. That's a slogan, right? Chi-Chi's, a celebration of food. Wonderful. Applebee's slogan has been since the 1990s. Your neighborhood bar and grill. That's not what it is, though. It's not your neighborhood bar and grill. You had those before. You had those. They didn't advertise on TV during the football, though, and that's why they're gone. Okay? That's why they're gone. Applebee's strived to imitate this experience that maybe you didn't like the target customer for Applebee's isn't even a person who ever went to their actual neighborhood bar and grill when it was still open, right? That's the average intended customer of an Applebee's, a person who's going to become a guy who hangs out with his wife drinking margaritas while the basketball game's on, and she's scrolling Instagram. It's like that's what Applebee's is for. And I just think, honestly, I think it's kind of pernicious. It's pernicious. We're using the word pernicious a lot lately. It's fine. If you don't know what it means, neither do I. I'm just some hick. I don't know what any of the words I'm saying mean. I have no idea what any of this means. I'm just some hick who learned how to read and got a nice jacket. It's pernicious. And it's just the sort of thing, and it's a nice little handy symbol for what we see all over the place in capitalism. In the game industry, even. We see there's been an Applebee'sification happening, and even in video games, you know? And, you know, do I need to even go any further? You know, Applebee's is basically, it's Starbucks, right? It's Starbucks for food. It's Starbucks for food, right? Right? Starbucks sold people in my experience, I'm speaking from my perspective, Starbucks sold rednecks from Indiana the idea of sitting in a cozy little cafe in a comfortable chair, reading a book, drinking a coffee like you're in Seattle. It sold that, right? It sold a Seattle concept to people who had never been to Seattle. Someone says, I think people like Starbucks. I don't think people like Applebee's. There's people who like Applebee's, and let's be honest. I think Starbucks has reached a point in its penetration of global culture where it's just kind of a staple to people. It's just something they do. They just go to Starbucks. It's the place to get coffee for a lot of people. For a lot of people, they do take it very much for granted, the way they might Applebee's. And, you know, I'm sure you can have a good time eating at Applebee's. I'm sure you can. But anyway, this conversation I was having with Mimsy was particularly interesting because, you know, we didn't mention the Cheesecake Factory once during this whole thing. We didn't mention it once. The Cheesecake Factory is just kind of the ultimate kind of open world AAA single player video game of food. Cheesecake Factory has everything, right? It's got literally everything, and it's kind of an attraction. It's not an attraction on the level of they don't have guitars on the wall. You know, they don't have movie props under glass, right? They don't have any of that, but they've got you kind of feel like you're in a place. There's a bit of a Disneyland atmosphere when you're in a Cheesecake Factory, and the menu's freaking insane, right? The menu's insane. So Mimsy, for what it's worth, Mimsy loves the Cheesecake Factory. Mimsy loves the Cheesecake Factory. Whenever we go to Indiana, we make sure to go to the Cheesecake Factory. And the first time, Mimsy was just laughing and laughing and laughing at the menu. Like, she thought it was so funny that there were so many things on the menu. I even told her in the car, I was like, the menu's crazy, by the way. It's the exact opposite of what Gordon Ramsay recommends in UK Kitchen Nightmares. It is not one page with like 8 things on it. It is like a freaking novella. Like, and she's like, okay. I'm like, anything you can imagine, they've got. And she's sitting there for like 20 minutes. Guy keeps coming back going, are you all ready to order? And she's like, oh no, can we have a couple more minutes? And then the guy leaves and she's like, they've got a burrito, they've got a cake, they've got a birthday cake, they've got a chocolate cake, they've got quesadillas, they've got fajitas, they've got hamburgers, they've got grilled cheese, they got cheeseburgers, they got BLTs. The guy comes back, are y'all ready to order? And she says, can you give us a couple more minutes? They got slushies, they got margaritas, they got mozzarella sticks, they got oysters. And it's just like, she's just like reading the menu and laughing. And it's like, is any of it good? I don't know. I'm going to tell you what I get at Cheesecake. Does everybody want to know my Cheesecake Factory order? Do you want to know? My Cheesecake Factory order is the factory nachos. I believe I've mentioned this before. The nachos. You get the factory nachos. That's it. And then you get yourself a big old wet diaper Diet Coke. Coke Zero, please, if you've got it on tap. And then you just eat the nachos. And you know, I'm a stupid fellow. So I enjoy the macaroni and cheese. I can also eat a basket of fries and mozzarella sticks. If you're getting a bunch of guys together and you're going crazy, like a bachelor party in Vegas, right? Like if you're in Vegas, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And for me, if I was in Vegas, what would be staying in Vegas, because it would be happening in Vegas, would be macaroni and cheese, basket of fries, mozzarella sticks, factory nachos, unlimited Coke Zeros at Cheesecake Factory. That's what I would do. That is, to me, that is my equivalent of strippers and cocaine or whatever it is. That 100%. To me, that is strippers and whiskey. That is cocaine. That's what it is. The freaking final answer. I can freaking shred a Cheesecake Factory. Cheesecake Factory, is it pernicious? Well, here's the thing. A lot of communities in America, they don't have an Italian restaurant. A lot of communities in America do not have an Italian restaurant. So don't make fun of them for liking Olive Garden. Like, seriously. This is an issue that I feel strongly about. Somebody, people have told me, they've been like, you're from kind of a hick zone. You know about the flyover states. Is it true people there? They have celebratory meals at Olive Garden. I've had people ask me this in kind of a weird sort of classist way. I've been, for the past, I almost said, for the past 15 years or so, as a guy who's returned to America from living abroad, for my years in California, I was often a guy that rich boys gauchely asked, my employers, we can call them what they were. I was the guy rich boys asked weird classist questions about the Midwest of, for example, is it true that in Indiana people eat at Olive Garden after like a funeral or a wedding? And I'm like, they don't all have freaking, there's not a fancy Italian restaurant in a lot of these towns, man. Leave them alone, right? Like, leave these people alone. It's kind of all of what they have. Now, yes, capitalism did kind of shred from their town the possibility of opening a competing restaurant, which is, that's the thing. But, leave them alone about that. Same thing with the Cheesecake Factory. It's freaking crazy. I don't know. Like, Cheesecake Factory's nuts. It's like 14 restaurants compressed into the same place. The menu is impossible. I don't know how the menu doesn't freaking blow up. Like, I don't know how it doesn't explode in your hand from the pressure of all the goddamn words printed on it. I don't know how that doesn't happen. I just do not know. I've been to Ruby Tuesdays. They're fine. I've been to Shoney's, been to O'Charlie's, I've been to Cracker Barrel. Can I just say, nobody liked Cracker Barrel. When I was a kid, we didn't go to Cracker Barrel. Nobody did. Nobody did. Okay? So all this recent thing with Cracker Barrel rebranding, I think they had to rebrand because they were lame and old. And then people got mad that they moved the guy out of the logo. I think having a guy in the logo is weird. I think having a guy in the logo is weird. And then they moved the guy out of the logo, and people pretended that they had always loved Cracker Barrel and would never go there again because they took the guy out of the logo, and then they decided, well, we'll put the guy back in the logo. I think getting up in arms about anything Cracker Barrel related is kind of telling on yourself. I think true Cracker Barrel heads, now, I mean, I've been to Cracker Barrel, and I've enjoyed my time at every Cracker Barrel I've ever been to. I've been there. I think if you're a Cracker Barrel fanboy, you're not really going to get up in arms about the guy not being in the logo anymore. I think it's fine. Anyway, what was I even talking about? I think if I'm taking or leaving one of the mall parking lot restaurants, if you put a gun to my head and said, I'm going to kill you tonight, but you got to eat at one of these first, I'd pick Chili's. I think I'd pick Chili's. I think that's what I'd do. Now, we're not talking about Denny's. Denny's is not in this class, okay? Denny's is not in this class. Denny's is like slightly, Denny's knows exactly what it is. Denny's is slightly elevated fast food. Denny's is fast food that you sit down and eat, that you eat in the restaurant. If you get Denny's to go, that's a particular flavor of experience. IHOP is above Denny's. I hate IHOP. I hate IHOP. But Applebee's, TGI Fridays, Chili's, Red Robin, Ruby Tuesday, Shoney's, Bennigan's, that's a particular class that is well above Denny's. Denny's is open like 24 hours a day. Chili's, kind of closes at a little earlier than bar time, right? I hate IHOP for a variety of reasons. One of them is just, I think the food sucks. I've never had good food there, like, period. I've never had good food at IHOP. And the number two reason I hate IHOP is I got very, very tired very, very quickly of hearing any conversation at all comparing IHOP and Waffle House. Waffle House is like, I think it is a disgrace to mention IHOP and Waffle House in the same sentence. I think it is disgusting. Waffle House is phenomenal. It's one of the greatest places you can go in America. And IHOP's just some who cares. IHOP is just who cares. There's nothing interesting about it. I'm going to tell you the thing about IHOP, and I've told this story before. IHOP IHOP does sometimes, I don't know how often they do it, but I used to live very close to an IHOP. IHOP would do every once in a while, unlimited pancakes. Unlimited pancakes. And I think that's interesting. And for the duration of the time I lived very close to an IHOP, every year during unlimited pancakes promotion month, a particular friend of mine would rope me into a group text. You guys want to go get unlimited pancakes at IHOP? And I'd be like, all right. All right. All right. And I'd be like, you know what? If we're getting a posse together here, let's do it. Let's go eat at IHOP. Let's eat the unlimited pancakes. Let's make this freaking interesting. Every single time, my two friends, they get the plate of 4 pancakes that they bring you at the beginning of the unlimited pancakes. They eat the 4 pancakes. They leave a little bit of the 4th pancake and they go, oh, I can't eat any more of these, man. And I'm like, what? Waitress comes by. Do you want 2 more? You want 2 more on your stack there? And I'm like, well, in my head, I'm thinking, I don't really like these pancakes, but I want them. You know, like I want them because that's the occasion. But my friends have already freaking chumped out. Every year, clockwork, they chumped out on the very first delivery of pancakes for the unlimited pancakes. And I have the only time I rejoin Facebook, well, first of all, to take a look at Facebook Marketplace to see if anybody is selling a Sony FX3 for cheap. And second, I check to see if those 2 friends are dead yet. But they're not. They're both still alive. But I'm waiting. Freaking waiting. So I would get 2 more. I would get my stack refreshed and I would try to eat 8 pancakes because I've got big boy jeans. I have big boy jeans. I'm wearing big boy jeans and I have big boy jeans. I could get up to 300 lbs kind of fast enough to break your freaking neck. Okay, I could do it. My goddarn body remembers. Okay. My metabolism remembers how to get there. It knows the way. Unlike Frodo, it knows the way. Okay, it does know the freaking way. I can just sit there and eat pancakes. I can sit there and just house food constantly. It's not hard for me. It's not hard. And every once in a while, I turn myself loose for an occasion such as unlimited pancakes at IHOP, which I hate. And my friends disappoint me. Here's how you know it's bad. You sit down at the IHOP, and the waitress comes back, can I interest y'all in some infinite pancakes? And your friends go, yeah. Can I get you something to drink first? And your friend goes, yeah, I'll have a Diet Coke. And you just look at him like, what? And it's like, you're not going to eat unlimited pancakes with a freaking Diet Coke. You are not serious. You can't get through 2 pancakes with a Diet Coke. You ever try it? You ever try to drink a Diet Coke and eat a pancake? It does not work. It's weird. It is really weird. You need coffee, preferably black coffee. I know, because I got big boy jeans and my body remembers. I know it's all about coffee and pancakes. You drink black coffee and you eat pancakes. You do not order a Diet Coke. And it's just absolute freaking clown mode from these guys. I keep checking Facebook to see if they're dead, and they're not. Keep checking. And it's like, I don't even want the pancakes, and they're terrible. They don't even taste good. They don't even taste good. Like, at all. They're like trash pancakes. Anyway, I've eaten IHOP on a couple other occasions. Anybody in the chat, has anybody in the chat ever drank a Diet Coke? Anybody? Can I just show of hands? Who in the chat has drank a Diet Coke and has any opinion, any which way, on the taste of Diet Coke versus regular Coke? Who do we got? Who all's drank a Diet Coke? We're getting a show of hands here. Many Diet Cokes? Okay. Not even once? Okay. It's good to not drink one. It's fine. Someone says it's better than regular Coke. You don't have to say your opinion. My Life in Gaming has drank a Diet Coke. Now, who all in the chat has eaten a pancake with maple syrup and butter? Who all's done that? Have you eaten a pancake with maple syrup and butter? Right? A lot of people? A couple of people? All right. We're getting a couple. Now, who all in the chat has drank a Diet Coke while eating pancakes? Who all has done that? Right? Your wife does it? I think you need to call a freaking exorcist if your wife is drinking Diet Coke and eating pancakes. Now, so we're saying very few people in the chat have ever done it. I don't think anybody has actually said they've done it. Now, no, someone in the chat says me and my girlfriend both do it. Wow. Okay. So here's my question. All of those of you who said you've drank a Diet Coke and you've eaten a pancake, but you've never drank a Diet Coke while eating a pancake, how many of you can imagine what it would taste like? How many of you assume it would be pretty bad? Right? It's bad, right? You don't even need to have done it. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. I've done it. I ordered a stack of pancakes and a Diet Coke on the worst day of my life. I figured, why not? I was at Denny's. Can you imagine a guy like me, just in general, having the worst day of his life on Waikiki Beach in beautiful Honolulu, Hawaii, a place that many, many people wait their entire lives to go even once? And there I was in a Denny's. And I thought, I'm going to get some pancakes and I'm going to get a Diet Coke. Are Denny's pancakes any good? Someone asked. Absolutely not. I'll tell you, the last time I had Denny's pancakes was for The Hobbit, the Battle of the Five Armies Hobbit menu pancakes, where they had pumpkin pancakes. So I went to see the Hobbit Battle of the Five Armies, and then I went to Denny's, and I ate some pancakes, and I had a black coffee at like 2 a.m. Hobbit menu pancakes, dude. I was like, yeah, the Oscar snub. Still hurting about that one. I really honestly thought they were going to award it to Battle of the Five Armies to like celebrate the whole trilogy. I was very surprised when they didn't. The Hobbit menu pancakes were real. Is there for some reason I feel like, Avatar is going to have pancakes. Like they're going to have an Avatar pancakes. They have blue pancakes. Someone says they didn't need to make a trilogy out of The Hobbit. Well, we got freaking Albert Einstein in the chat here. How'd you figure? Wow. That's how'd you figure the math on that? Have you applied for the Nobel Prize yet? Have you contacted the Nobel Committee? I know some people think they didn't need to make 2 movies for Wicked. You know what? This is my controversial take on Wicked. I think Wicked 2 should have been the same length as Wicked 1. It's like an hour shorter. Wait, how long was Wicked 2? I need to actually get my math right. I don't want to spread. How long was Wicked 1? I need to know how long it was. Wicked, titled on screen as Wicked Part 1. 160 minutes. Okay. Wicked Part 1 was 2 hours and 40 minutes long. Wicked Part 2 is 2 hours and 17 minutes long. I think Wicked Part 2 needed to match the length of Wicked Part 1. We needed just a little more. I think they needed to be exactly the same length. I'm just saying. Wicked Part 2 was 2 hours and 17 minutes. I know because I have a very good sense of time, and that was exactly how long it was after the previews ended. It was 2 hours and 17 minutes. I know because I checked my watch during the massive brouhaha that was happening between a large group of vociferous attendees attempting to orderly exit the theater. We took the other exit. Quite a fist fight. It's very seldom you actually hear the fists colliding with flesh, like the actual dull smack. And I heard plenty of those. Is there a wicked Denny's menu? What kind of novelty menus is Denny's doing lately? What are they doing a menu lately? I mean, they've got to have a menu. They've got to have a menu. They've got to, right? If there's no menu, no, that's the Game Awards. We don't need that. Hold on. Let me see my, let me see. Hold on. Oh, the Rudolph Slam. The Rudolph Everyday Value Slam is back. Your diner favorites ready to order. Cinnamon Apple Crisp Pancake Slam. So here's the thing about having I'm going to call it what it is, having fat boy genetics. I've got them, okay? Here's the thing. Having fat boy genes. No offense, you know. We didn't have body positivity when I was in high school. You know, I'm happy for you if you have it now. But here's the thing. I can look at this, and you know, this is, I don't know what this says about my IQ or whatever, but I can look at this and I can go, yeah, right? I can actually look at this and go, yeah, like, and the thing is, it's not good, right? I'm going to reject the cookies real quick. You know how you've gotten control over your binge eating as an adult. You know, the binge eating that you know, caused some problems for you in your youth. You know how you've gotten over the binge eating? It's when it's very easy for you to reject cookies on a website. In real life, I'd never have rejected cookies as a teen. I would have always accepted the cookies, right? Now I reject the cookies. Because that's just the kind of person I am. So Cinnamon Apple Crisp Pancake Slam, 2 buttermilk pancakes cooked with cinnamon crumb topping and topped with warm apple crisp, salted caramel sauce, and powdered sugar. Served with 2 eggs made to order. Crispy hash browns plus 2 applewood smoked bacon strips or 2 all-pork sausage links. Here's the thing about Denny's. When you are a non-meat eating person, is when you show up to Denny's and you say, oh, can I get this but without the bacon? They go, it's not going to cost any less, right? They always tell you that. I was like, I just don't want the bacon. Well, it's not going to cost different. We're going to charge you for it. They'll say that to you. And you're just like, it's okay. I don't mind. Rip me off, bro. Freaking tase me, bro. Like, I don't know, right? Just tase me, bro. Like, you can do it. It's not going to cost any different. And then hopefully you got like your girlfriend going, well, I guess I can eat it. And you're like, yeah, let her have it. And they're like, and then the waitress always goes, like you weren't supposed to mention that your girlfriend was going to eat your bacon. Like you weren't supposed to mention it. Like it's against the rules. They don't have a no sharing rule. It's not some kind of buffet table thing, but they don't have a rule. They don't have a rule. I like how it says 2 buttermilk pancakes cooked with cinnamon crumb topping and topped. That's like Lord of the Rings of Power. Crumb topping and topped with warm apple crisp. Cinnamon crumb topping and topped with warm apple crisp. Salted caramel sauce and powdered sugar. Warm apple crisp, crispy hash browns, bacon strips. crumb topping and topped, crisp, crispy strips. Crisp, crispy strips, topping and topped with apple crisp. One can really have a bit of a stroke here on the internet, can't they? You want to know a little fun fact about me? You want to know a little fun fact about me is I occasionally perform sort of a linguist's conjuring exercise. I'll sit here in the dark. I'll sit here in the dark in the silence, working on tedious tasks. Tasks as tedious as they are numerous. I'll sit here grinding away on tediosities. I'll do it, and I'll do it for you. I'll freaking do it, right? And sometimes I'll go hours, if not full work days, alone here in the dark and the silence, not speaking a single human word. Sometimes my work involves scripts, right? Scripts. Sometimes it involves scripts and rearranging words and revision and editorial, copy-pasting words from one place and copying some words from one place, pasting them in another. You'd never know which paragraphs started in a different order to watch any of my videos because I glue them. I make them fit, right? I make it fit. Sometimes I have tasks that involve words. However, occasionally I will sit here in the darkness and silence and I will perform tasks entirely nonverbal, organizational, the tasks where I don't really engage with words and I don't have an internal monologue. That's part of what makes this exercise for me right now so goddarn fascinating for me. So I'll spend whole days not doing anything linguistic. And then I'll pick up the telephone because I have to call my doctor. And when the receptionist picks up, I say, hello. And then my dogs come sprinting from across the room, screaming at me, thinking something must be about to happen. Something nuclear, perhaps. Something World War III-esque. They get very alarmed by the notion of my beginning to speak after spending a long time in the darkness and silence. So sometimes when I know a phone call, for example, is coming and I don't want to have to tell the receptionist at the proctologist's office, oh, my dogs are barking because I haven't been talking all day, I'll occasionally speak aloud. Now, I'm not at the level of agedness, dementedness, where aged dementia, where I speak full sentences to myself. I'm known to mutter the occasional utterance. I won't have a full-blown conversation with myself. Won't do that. So for me to speak aloud simply for the purpose of warming up these here pipes, for me to do that, I need to perform something along the lines of a credentialed linguist's conjuring trick. So here's what I do. I neologize in my kitchen usually. I try to make up a word. Now, by make up a word, what I try to do is coming from a blank brain. I try to speak, usually a single syllable. I try to speak a syllable I've never spoken before. It's gotten difficult these past 20 years simply because the alphabet's got a limit, right? I have been stretching the concept of the compound consonant for quite some time now. And has this particular habit of mine, in addition to speaking a multitude of languages I need not brag about, because listen to this freaking English I got, okay? They call this a masterful command. Did you know that? That's what they call this. Guys at freaking Oxford and Cambridge would have a freaking heart attack to hear me speak if I did it on the level I know I can do it. So for me, speaking the languages I do, having experience with transcendental meditation and other genres of mantra-based focusing, having all this experience, for me to speak a syllable aloud a single syllable that I've never heard before, having all these languages, all this experience of functionality and occasionally fluency in languages foreign to myself and my place of birth. It stretches my imagination to speak a single syllable. So I've moved on in the past 3 years or so to 2-syllable words. 2-syllable words with the Latin alphabet, because that's my home turf alphabet. I can do a lot, okay? I can do a lot. And for me, it counts if I've never spoken it out loud before. Now, last night, while Mimsy was out of the house, and I had, kind of a situation halfway between diarrhea and hemorrhoids, a bit of a flare-up, as they call it, I had a procedure by surprise at the proctologist's office. I thought I was going in for a consultation. It's been several weeks. I'm due to see them again, and this time I'm going to tell them don't rubber band nothing, because I got to go to the Game Awards. Shortly before Mimsy came home, standing in the middle of the kitchen, I spoke aloud. I waited. I said, what do I got? Don't think. Clear the mind. And I spoke aloud. Tuppus Brispy, Pippus Capus. And then I stopped. And I said, that's 4. So for the first time in like 6 years, I got 4 words. Tuppus Brispy, Pippus Capus. Tuppus Brispy, Pippus Capus. Brispy, Tuppus Capus. So what's remarkable about this? I told Mimsy about this, and she said, okay. And I said, I think I like Brispy the most. I think you're going to be hearing a lot of Brispy around here. And she said, okay, what does it mean? And I said, freaking excuse me? Like freaking excuse me? Now, maybe these words are something to you, but to me, they're not. So there's a couple things that are remarkable about this. Now, let me try to, figure out what's remarkable. What's remarkable? 3 of these words have no K sound. Usually I try to work a K sound in there, believe it or not. You will notice that neither of my dogs have a K sound in their names, Bibbithy, Babbis, and Blaster. Neither of them has a K sound in their name. That's actually kind of that demonstrates my restraint. Demonstrates my restraint. That was me at my most magnanimous, not giving them K sounds. Only one of them had a K sound last night. The most surprising aspect of this to me was that I never said Pippus out loud. I never said Pippus. I never said Pippus. Never said that out loud. I never said Capus out loud. I feel like I would have hit those. And I kind of felt like a goddarn jackaround for having never said neither Pippus nor Capus out loud in this life of mine. No, not Pappus, the Greek name. Pappus. Pappus. Kind of like P-A-P-I-S. Pappus. Pappus. Or I've said Pappus out loud, and I've said Pappus out loud, but I never said Pippus, right? Pippus Capus. Pippus Capus. Pippus Capus. Not Peepus. Okay? Not Peepus. Pappus is the father from Dragon Quest V. Is he? His name... I thought his name was Pancraz. That's a joke about the localization. Why'd they change it? Pappus was a good enough name. There are probably some Greek words, sure, but I'd never spoken these words out loud. So the thing about... The most remarkable one here, I think, is Brispy. I think Brispy. I've said Brippus before. Sorry, I've said Brippus. Brispy... I told Mimsy about Brispy, and she said, okay. And then I went back in and I said, as to your previous inquiry, I think Brispy kind of exists somewhere interloping in the fringes, in the gray area between brisk and crispy. And she said, well, all right. And I said, I'm a Brispy crispy twist. And she said, okay. And I said, when I die, I won't be missed. And she said, all right. I think Brispy's definitely the one. I think that's the word. I'm a Brispy crispy twist. When I die, I won't be missed. That's not me speaking. That's like a character in my upcoming Broadway play. Anyway, that's just a little thing that happened to me yesterday. I thought that was cool. Nobody's interested in that, though. Nobody's really interested in that. I do like the word Brispy. Right? It seems like you could use it for something, right? Seems like you could use it for something. If anybody wants to use it, I mean, go ahead. Like, I don't know. Just if you're gonna use it, don't act like you came up with it. Don't act like you came up with it. Don't tell people you came up with it. Lewis Carroll, Jabberwocky and such, the guy's fine. But I've completely snowed that man over with the nonsense words I've made up. I don't think, and this is the thing, he was a published author. He was famous. All of that. That's fine. But I don't think he was nearly on my level when it came to making up words. No offense to him. I think I've traveled to more places in my life than he ever did. I've been around. He never called nothing Brispy, okay? Never called nothing Brispy. He never did it. Never did it. So, is Lewis Carroll canceled? I freaking knew it. What did he do? Did people find out that he actually like kicked a real little girl down a rabbit hole? Is that what they found out? They found out that Alice in Wonderland was... Wait, is this true? Lowercase J, are you freaking messing? Are you messing? Are you jacking with me? Don't freaking jack with me. Was he? Oh man. Well, that would be funny. You learned about it in uni? Wow, freaking Brit detected. No offense. No offense. We got to freaking sound the goddarn alarm. I think I was recently I was in the presence of a filmmaker that I think is interesting. And I went up to the filmmaker because I had a bit of an intro. Okay. I don't want to like toot my own horn here, but you know, a guy with a jacket like this. We're actually going to undo the bottom button here. There we go. A guy with a jacket like this, you know, he gets invited to places, okay? He gets freaking DVD screeners in the mail for what do we got? I don't even know what movie this is. Is this a movie? It's a devilish and dynamic adaptation. Tessa Thompson is fantastic. I have zero difficulty believing that Tessa Thompson can be fantastic, but I've never heard of this movie. Guy like me gets screeners, okay? Right? There's a filmmaker whose work I have appreciated in the past, though not, you know, not like on a super like enthused level. I approached this filmmaker and I said, "Do you want an Oscar-winning movie?" And the filmmaker said, you know, kind of looking at me like Fred Savage looking at Kramer and on Seinfeld. Anybody who's watched Seinfeld can attest that, you know, there's a particular way that this went down. And the filmmaker looks at me and goes, "Oh, what do you got?" And I go, "I got an idea for you. Get on Wikipedia. Look up Hans Christian Andersen. Scroll down to the section. Scroll down to the section entitled Hans Christian Andersen and Charles Dickens." And the filmmaker went, "Okay." And I said, "Trust me, you really want to do this. You really want to do this." Personal life. In June 1847, Anderson visited England for the first time. Hold on, we're going to make this bigger. Enjoying triumphant social success, the Countess of Blessington invited him to her parties where many intellectuals would meet, and at one such party he met Charles Dickens for the first time. They shook hands and walked to the veranda, which Anderson noted in his diary. We were on the veranda, and I was so happy to see and speak to England's now living writer, whom I do love the most. The two authors respected each other's work and each other as writers, and had in common their depictions of the underclass, who often led difficult lives affected both by the Industrial Revolution and by abject poverty. In 1857, Anderson visited England again, primarily to meet Dickens. Anderson extended the planned brief visit to Dickens's home at Gad's Hill Place into a 5-week stay, much to the distress of Dickens's family. After Anderson was told to leave, Dickens gradually stopped all correspondence between them, to Anderson's great disappointment and confusion. He had enjoyed the visit and never understood why his letters went unanswered. It has been argued that Dickens modeled the physical appearance and mannerisms of Uriah Heep from David Copperfield after Anderson. Romantic relationships. In Anderson's early life, his private journal records his refusal to have sexual relations. We don't need to get any deeper into it. Feels voyeuristic to get deeper into this man's story. But I told this filmmaker that. I said, just look into it. You could get a good story. I think there's a good story there. I don't know if there's any. I just think that's a good story. And then this filmmaker was not interested, and I was like, you should be. You should be. This is an Oscar-winning movie. You can get an Oscar-winning movie out of this. Lowercase J says shades of Melville and Hawthorne. Exactly. But you get Dickens in there. You get Dickens. Nobody's going to win an Academy Award for playing Nathaniel Hawthorne. Somebody'd get a Best Supporting Actor for Charles Dickens. Somebody would, right? Somebody would get it. Melville, people don't know what Melville looked like. I mean, I do, because I'm a freaking idiot. Right? But, people kind of have an idea of what Charles Dickens looked like. So I think they would love that as a movie. I mean, the guy who wrote the freaking Little Mermaid and Frozen, staying at Charles Dickens's house, Charles Dickens's wife getting mad at him, right? This could be a great comedy with a tragic core. The 5 weeks. I just think that's a good. If I were more interested, yeah, there is a photo of Charles Dickens. There is, yeah, it's a very famous photo. It actually rules. It's one of my favorite author photos of all time. It's guy, and there's several photos of him, but there's the one that's on his wiki page. Let's throw it in here. The one that's on his Wikipedia is phenomenal, and it's like serious, like hardcore, like freaking dude vibes. It's hardcore dude vibes. Look at this guy. You got to be the coolest freaking dude. You got to be a pretty cool dude to look like this, You got to be. I mean, Dickens looks like he freaking got high. I think he got high. Do you think he got high? I think Hans Christian Andersen got high. But I mean, I don't know. Who would make this movie, right? Who would make this movie? I don't know. I think Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey could be Dickens. I could see it. Because Dickens looks like kind of like what you think Scrooge might look like, right? Right? He looks kind of like what Scrooge would look like. So he died at age 58, okay? And this was 2 years before, this photo was 2 years before his death. So, they don't make them like they used to, by which I mean they make them a little better now, I guess, because, I'm 46, and, yeah, I don't know. Let me try to get the angle. I don't know. I don't know if I can get the angle, but yeah. I mean, they don't make him like that anymore, and thank freaking God. He's just a weird-looking fellow. Did anybody play Assassin's Creed Syndicate? He shows up, and you're like, what? they're just kind of like they're like so far beyond the bottom of the barrel at that point. You're playing it, you see Charles Dickens show up, you're like, man, they're gonna have to start making these things, open world Witcher 3 for toddlers kind of games after this, because they're kind of trotting out Charles Dickens. You don't even really know what Charles Dickens looks like, right? People generally don't know. I mean, this is a weird looking fellow. He's a weird looking fellow, and you know what? Freaking respect, right? Freaking respect. But the fact that there is, so I mean, I knew this about Charles Dickens, right? And Hans Christian Andersen. I knew all this. This isn't something I discovered recently. I knew about it because I was rereading David Copperfield 5 years ago for whatever reason. I reread Dave Cop, and I was just kind of reading some back knowledge about it, and I was like wondering who Uriah Heep was based on, if any real person, and it turns out it was Hans Christian Andersen. So that I didn't know about this until like 5 years ago. So if a guy who's kind of in touch with his English literature doesn't know that sort of thing, that's kind of cool, right? That means, I don't know, who do you get? You get like Yorgos, right? I think you get you don't get Yorgos. You get Yorgos and what's his name? Tony McNamara, guy who wrote The Favorite, Poor Things, The Great. Get them in there. I don't know. That's what I would like. It wasn't Yorgos that I pitched this to, by the way, just letting you know. It could get Emma Stone to play Dickens's upset wife. I don't know, right? I mean, you could have a pretty freaking good movie out of this. I don't know. I mean, it could be funny. And you need a man who can have a masterful British accent to play Dickens. I don't know. I don't think about pitching films too much. I don't sit around dreaming up films, but I was like, man, that was my dream, my sort of dream. You get Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo as Dickens, dude. His accent in Poor Things was freaking crazy. I was like, man, this makes me want to start doing a British accent. It makes me want to like English up. And that's why I got this sport jacket. I didn't watch Bugonia yet. Because I wanted a ticket and I couldn't afford 2 tickets. So I thought I would wait for Black Friday for a Bogonia deal. I've made that joke before. I never finished it. Bogonia. It's on digital now. I don't want to watch it on digital. I want to watch it in the theater. Someone says they're lukewarm on it. Well, why don't you go somewhere else then? Because we only like it here. Buy uno, get one. Yeah, exactly. Why pay more when you can get this? Right? Why pay more when you can get this? Why pay more? Why pay more when you can get this? Right? It took me a while to find it in my I need to see Avatar 3. If I don't see Avatar 3 when it comes out, I have no reason to live if I can't see Avatar 3 in IMAX. So I actually had a puzzling experience. Whilst seated, because we were seated for Wicked 2, because we didn't want to watch it standing up. During the Dolby Cinema pre-show, so the previous films, they've actually started like baking movie previews into the pre-show. It used to be at the beginning of a Dolby Cinema presentation, immediately before the movie, they have the filmmaker of the movie you're about to watch go, "We loved working with Dolby Vision and the Atmos sound. It's the best. And Dolby Vision picture, the colors are wonderful." And having that play before Wicked 1, for example, last year was very funny because guy didn't even use like freaking 1/32,000th the range. That's not a number I pulled out of nowhere. So it's now they show you a preview for an upcoming film, right? and they have the director. So I saw the Wicked 2 sizzle during The Running Man, and during Wicked 2, we saw Jim Cameron talking about Avatar 3, and he was like, Dolby is the best way. We want the viewer to have the best possible experience, and that's Dolby Vision. And I was like, what are you freaking trying to do, Jim? JC? You know, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to tell me to not go see it in IMAX? I'll freaking kill you. I mean it. I'll freaking kill you. Like, don't you try to stop me. I had the best movie going experience of my life. 70 in the IMAX at Lincoln Square, watching Avatar 2 in 60 frames per second of 3D on the tallest, biggest freaking movie screen in the world. And you're trying to tell me Dolby Vision is the right way to see it? You psycho. I'll freaking kill you. I'm not even kidding. You know, I think Avatar 3 is going to be the one that turns everyone around. I think everyone is going to be on the same page as me. When Avatar 3 comes out, I think everyone's gonna be cool on Avatar. I think it's going to redeem it. It's going to redeem it. Remember before Avatar 2 came out, everyone was talking about how nobody remembered anything at all about Avatar 1. Like, nobody can remember the names of the characters. It's Jake and Neytiri, and there's unobtainium on the planet Pandora. Like, people were saying they can't remember anything. It's annoying. It's annoying. But I'm going to tell you what. Avatar 2 was so good. And if you disagree, you should have smoked something about what I was smoking. And also, you should have freaking been there. You should have showed up at the Lincoln Square IMAX. You should have shown up. You should have shown up. Because it was meticulous. Yeah, the Avatar there's this Avatar has no cultural impact narrative that's been around. And it's like, I don't know. The VFX stuff in Avatar 2 was freaking crazy. Someone says Avatar 1 tried so hard to make 3D happen. It did, though. 3D did happen. It made over $1 billion, and then every movie had 3D for a couple of years. I think the length of the 3D fad, it was more than a couple years. The 3D was a fad for long enough that I think we can say Avatar did bring 3D into the mainstream movie-going experience. It did do it. It did do it. I really wish that they would have brought Avatar 2 back as, like, to the IMAX here, because I'm like, here's the thing. I'm not even kidding. I do think that anybody who hates on Avatar, 3D movies, or high frame rate movies, I think if you had the opportunity, I'm not even making a joke here. If you are skeptical of Avatar, 3D movies, or high frame rate presentation, or IMAX, if you're skeptical of any of those things, I think if you watched Avatar 2 in high frame rate 3D on the biggest IMAX screen in the world, I think you would get it. I think you would get all of those things. I think they all make perfect sense together. They all make perfect sense together. They don't make perfect sense apart. And maybe they're not your thing apart, but I think if you had joined me for the experience that me and my friends who had gotten together for a larf, we'd gotten together for a freaking larf, okay? It was a larf. We were having a larf. And we're like, let's go see Avatar. Not a single one of us walked out of there without a blown mind. Our minds were so incredibly blown. The whole vision I'm not being facetious. The whole vision of Avatar made insanely perfect sense in that night. Insanely perfect sense. A midnight showing. We were tired. We were hungry. It was January. It was a pouring rainy night, right? For some reason, it all converged and it was incredible. And if your only experience with Avatar is watching the first one on a Limax screen in 24 FPS 3D, or watching it on, God forbid, a television, I can understand not getting it. But dude, someone in the chat is saying that this pattern looks great on me. This is a houndstooth Harris tweed in a proprietary colorway that is patented and trademarked by my tailor. It's got a little bit of pink, a little bit of pink and a little bit of powder blue, which you can't really see. A little pink, a little powder blue in there. I enjoy this fabric. It's a custom-made jacket just for me. Matches all my colors, my hair. I wanted a jacket I could wear with a black polo shirt. Anyway, someone is saying that it probably is quite different to the experience I had watching a badly encoded pirate copy of it on my monitor. Yeah, I mean, sure. I can understand not being hot on Avatar if you didn't have the experience that we had. But the freaking penny. I put a penny in and I'm getting hundreds and hundreds of pounds back. By which I mean any freaking, wherever I live in the world, I will fly to New York City to watch a new Avatar movie at the Lincoln Square IMAX. Guaranteed. Period. I'm in. Lowercase J says, I will say I watched this in one of 6 cinemas approved for proper IMAX and I still hated all of it. Okay, so this is interesting. Lowercase J is, someone was DMing me about this earlier today. Lowercase J is a liar. So, be on the lookout for Lowercase J is a liar. Lowercase J actually loved Avatar. So, Lowercase J is lying about not liking Avatar. Okay, so let me revise what I said earlier. I think the chance is high you will get it if you are able to see Avatar in high frame rate IMAX. It's not too late. I don't know if Avatar 3, aka Avatar Fire and Ash, I don't know if it's as good as Avatar 2. There's something I like. What I really liked about Avatar 2 is how it was paced like a nature documentary. And I thought somehow that worked. And I thought being enveloped in this 10-story tall screen with the 60 FPS, high frame rate 3D, I was just like, oh man, this is freaking crazy. I don't know if Avatar 3 is going to be as, in my opinion, good as Avatar 2. I don't know. I can't guarantee it. But if you've seen Avatar 1 and 2 and you didn't outright, completely, extremely, insanely hate them, if you did not hate Avatar 1 and 2 and you're interested in Avatar 3, I encourage you to try to make your way to a real IMAX. The movie's coming out on December 19th. That's almost a month from now. You have a month almost to plan to make it to a full-size IMAX to watch it in high frame rate 3D. Because honestly, I do think that experience is good. And I think you might have a good time with it. And I think Charles Dickens would like it. No. Lowercase J, stop trying to be mean about Avatar. Avatar is good. Okay, wait, what didn't you like about Avatar? Let's hear it. What didn't you like about it? What was wrong? Did you not like Avatar 1 as well? Because I'm not like a big Avatar 1 fan, but Avatar 2 freaking killed me. We went in good time hats ablazing when we went to watch it. We went in with our good time hats all the way on, kind of pulled down over our ears. So there was that, right? Even though we were having a larf about it. I don't know. I just liked it. I had a good time. Game and Burger, you like the jacket? You like that? It's not a smoking jacket, literally, but it is a smoking jacket, if you know what I mean. We got Dickens on here because I think Dickens would have worn some tweed. That's not why Dickens is on here. Dickens is on here if you're just tuning in. We've acquired a portrait of Charles Dickens on the stream chat for a reason that's really hard to explain. It has something to do with Hans Christian Andersen. If you're just tuning in, go to Hans Christian Andersen's Wikipedia page and find the section about Charles Dickens. I think that's an Oscar-winning movie in the making. If somebody can get Yorgos on the phone. Get Yorgos. I think Yorgos would be I'm thinking more and more it's Yorgos. I'm thinking more and more that's Yorgos. I'm thinking it's Yorgos. Just thinking. Yeah. That Yorgos sounds pretty good for that. Someone is saying it's hard to sell Avatar 2 to those who don't like 1 in retrospect. Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, I know some people who didn't like Avatar 1 so much who went completely bonko for Avatar 2. So I don't know. I know some people. Right? I know some people. Lowercase J says, I feel sort of nothing about Avatar 1, but 2 is just so long and repetitive. Plus, I didn't care about any of the characters. I liked the whales, though. I'm there day one if he ever makes a new Terminator. Okay, he's not going to make a new Terminator. I think... What are you doing? My dog is in her crate scraping. She's like, what is she doing? What are you doing? She's freaking going crazy in there. The whales are good. The whales were good in Avatar 2, okay? I liked that Valerian movie, but we're not supposed to like that guy anymore, right? We're not supposed to like that director. Is he canceled? I liked that Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets. I liked his Adele Blanc-Sec movie. I liked Fifth Element. I think when that guy went weird, it was good. Someone is saying, I think Edgar Allan Poe met Dickens as well. Well, as the kids today say, bet WRT, the Hans Christian Andersen connection being superior. It's, Hans Christian Andersen better. It's more interesting. I think you could make like a whole series of movies about parties at Dickens's house. I think you could. About lodgers at Dickens. The Dickens Family House Guest trilogy, right? I think it could be good. I really loved Fifth Element when I saw Fifth Element the first time. And I like Ruby Rhod. I like Corbin Dallas Multipass. I like Leeloo Dallas Multipass. I like Ruby Rhod. I like Corbin. I like that. That's a good film. It's got a whole lot of trash and it's weird. I liked his stupid movie, Lucy. Did y'all ever see that? I liked Lucy. Lucy was an interesting example of... Lucy was an interesting example of like Twitter ruining something. Because there was a trailer for Lucy where like Morgan Freeman is going, the average human only uses 1% of his brain, right? And Twitter like I remember it went like mega viral. People on Twitter being like, not Hollywood trotting out this myth again. Everyone got their freaking hall monitor, science expert, fact checker hats on. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people tweeting about this movie trailer constantly for like 48 hours. And then, oh my God, someone in the chat has just said, Lucy, with the 1% of your brain nonsense, I believe you said that before I got to that part. That's still the enduring cultural legacy of that movie. So many people, like, I wanted to go see it. I'm like, I want to go see that Lucy film. And people were like, oh, that movie gets the science wrong. I heard it gets the science wrong. Oh, the science has gotten thoroughly wrong in that one. Oh, don't go see that if you like science. Everybody got all freaking Neil deGrasse Tyson on that movie. That movie's a freaking Looney Tunes, man. That movie's goddarn Bugs Bunny. Okay? It's freaking Bugs Bunny. Okay? That movie is freaking crazy. It's freaking nuts. I saw Neil deGrasse Tyson at B&H Photo Video the other day. He was in there. I didn't even bring it up on a stream. I didn't even mention it on a stream. I didn't even bring it up. I just saw him in there and I looked at him. I gave him one of these and he said, he did one of those. I saw him. Didn't even bring it up on a stream. I didn't even brag about it. Saw him at B&H Photo Video. He had a suitcase. I don't know what he had. I don't know what was in his suitcase. He was lugging around a suitcase. Is he canceled? I don't know who's not canceled these days. It's freaking Lord. Is Charles Dickens canceled? Last name like that, figure he should be, right? C.S. Lewis canceled. What does the CS stand for? Canceled Sinclair. Canceled Sinclair Lewis. Canceled Clancy. Can you imagine if somebody's name is Clancy and they get canceled? Tom Clancy. Can we get Tom Clancy posthumously canceled so that the New York Post can run a headline that says Clancy canceled? Tom Clancy. Can we get that happen? Canceled? Cancelled Lewis. Very good. Very good. Well, I don't really know what else to say after that. Someone says he got canceled by death. No, death doesn't cancel. A man's death does not take from the clutches of you, the honest, hardworking public, the ability and the right to posthumously cancel someone, to tarnish their reputation, to tarnish their legacy. Just because he's dead and he's not going to appreciate the cancellation doesn't mean you can't make it the world's problem. If you who view this, get out there, start digging up any and all records you can on anybody famous who's dead. We want all the heroes. We want them. We want all the heroes. We burn them. Burn the heroes, Ricky. I want you to find out whatever you can about Cormac McCarthy. I know he's been canceled already. He's got to have done something worse than that. He's got to have done something worse than that. Bibithy, my dog. He's got to have done something even worse. What are you doing, Bib? See my sweetie? He's my sweetie. That's my little sweetie. Well, the other day, I received a DM from someone on Instagram. Or not on Instagram, sorry, on Discord. received a DM from a hater. This person had sent me hate DMs in the past, saying they didn't like the way I played video games. Particularly, they found it galling. They found my performance at the final boss of Donkey Kong Bonanza to be galling. And among other things. They told me they were sick of my pretending not to know the solutions to puzzles in Zelda. They were tired of the bit where I pretended I didn't see the puzzle. They sent me a DM. And I'm going to read you the DM out loud. Partially because I just think it's funny. They said, "Nice to see you back in your lane, speaking authentically and knowledgeably about 1990s games. Hope you'll consider staying there, in which case I might resub." This was in response to my recent streams where I played games on the Mister. It becomes interesting to have a hobby such as this. It's interesting, I just gotta say. Anyway, I noticed 2.5 hours have transpired and I have not played a video game, but we did talk about Chi-Chi's, Chili's, Applebee's, Mustard's, Olive Garden, When You Hear Your Family, Cheesecake Factory, TGI Fridays, Denny's, IHOP, Cracker Barrel. What else did we talk about? Charles Dickens, Hans Christian Andersen, Wicked. Number 12 fact about Wicked 2, to close out my review with a joke. I was kind of a little disappointed that John Wick didn't show up at the end and kill everyone. Kind of finally making the title make sense. And, making you read it in a different light. Oh, wow, they all got wicked at the end, right? That's the joke, right? Pretty good, right? We talked about a lot of things. We didn't play a video game because I defiantly decided to get out of my lane for a little bit. What else did we talk about? All you can eat pancakes at IHOP. IHOP, no good. Why pay more when you can get this? No dinner for child. Turd Stain Alley. Yeah, we got Turd Stain Alley here. Goodbye, Dickens. Charles Dickens is gone. So lately I've been uploading thumbnails. I'm going to end the stream soon. Oh, Brispy. Tuppis Brispy Pippis Capus. Tuppis Brispy Pippis Capus. If you are on James Cameron's Stretch Armstrong Smurf films, yeah. Smurf Armstrong. I'm going to end my stream soon. This jacket is actually very comfortable to sit around and wear for a long time. It's very comfortable. I'll tell you one more story. On Sunday morning, I met the man I consider the most fashionable, best dressed man on the face of the earth. I managed to meet him because he is a close personal friend of someone who watches these streams and watches my YouTube videos. I managed to meet this man. I think he's the best tailor in the world. And I think he's the most talented maker of suits, the most knowledgeable about all things clothing. He's not the tailor who made any of my suits because he's a little too expensive for me. I met this man and I went in wearing an outfit that I honestly had not thought about at all. My MA1 E-type jacket. A faded navy blue sweatshirt with a white Whitesville t-shirt, these sugarcane jeans, this sugarcane Garrison belt, my Alden 405 boots. I went in this outfit, my Burberry scarf tucked under the sweatshirt, but over the t-shirt, because you get an extra layer. I went in there dressed like this, and this man, who I think is the greatest tailor on the face of the earth, he said to me, he told me two things. We had a conversation. He told me many things, but one of the things he told me was that my outfit was great. He told me that. He said the combinations, the colors, my outfit did a good job of communicating with the language of clothes, my personality, and my interests. And I was like, all right, that's good. Right? He told me that. He said that to me. I'm not making this up. He asked me to take the sweatshirt off, and he, measured me without my with my t-shirt on, and he said, "You should gain 15 kilos." Right? Is what he said to me, and I thought, that's freaking crazy. That's freaking crazy. Should I? Should I gain 15 kilos? And I just didn't know what to do. Because here's the thing. I have suits, bespoke suits, including this jacket. I can't just gain 15 kilos now. I can't do that, right? I can't do it because then I can't wear any of these suits. What am I going to do if I gain 15 kilos? He was like, "You look skinnier than you actually are," he said to me. And I think we've talked about this before, and I'm not bragging or anything, but, I've kind of lived with a low-grade eating disorder my entire life. We'll talk about this in detail in the future. But a low-grade eating disorder, I would call it. I wouldn't hesitate to call it a low-grade eating disorder. That's what I've lived with. Right? Hold on. I'm trying to do something while we talk about this. Well, here we have it. Okay. Hold on. I'm doing something. I've lived with something resembling a low-grade eating disorder my entire life. Since teenage years. And I don't exactly have at the moment the tools for navigating backward out of that. Maybe I won't, I live with it. It's part of me, whatever, right? It's fine. I'm not too bent out of shape about it. But it was kind of interesting to have this guy say that to me. That's all I'm saying. But I will say this. I then went to see my tailor who makes all my suits after this. Okay, after meeting my hero, who was a beautiful man, well-spoken man, a wonderful person. Yes, I know muscle is kilos and it's more kilos, but let's not worry about it. The weight I was at when I commissioned this jacket, for example, was the weight that I have held for almost 30 years, right? I'd held that weight. But I'd gained a little bit, okay? I'd actually gained a little bit of weight when I saw my tourist yesterday. Or not my tourist, when I saw my tailor on Sunday. I saw my tailor on Sunday. And when I saw this tailor, I wanted his final word on my Game Awards outfit. And I wore my Game Awards outfit in the room with the tailor to let him see it and make comments on it. That's the tailor who made this jacket. I was wearing my Game Awards outfit in my tailor's presence so he could look at me, check everything out, kind of go over everything and really, really give it the final once over. And he goes, "Okay, Tim, it's looking pretty good. Now, when you go to these Game Awards, here's what I want you to do. Can you do something for me?" And I said, "Yeah, what do you got?" And he's like, "Just don't button the jacket, please." And I'm like, Why not? And he's like, you've gained a little bit of weight. You've gained a little bit of weight. Just, maybe don't button the jacket a little bit. Maybe don't button it. And I was like, excuse me? So I've been roasted rubber band style by 2 world-class tailors in one day. I'm at a bit of an impasse. I think the jacket looks fine. No, this is a different guy. There's 2 guys. There's 2 tailors. The greatest tailor in the world, and then my tailor, who's the tailor that I like for my style. Anyway, I'm going to show you a pic. I'm going to show you. I've blurred it so as to keep its true nature hidden, but it's my Game Awards outfit. I think it's pretty good. The pearlescent filter really sells it. Keely's going to have a freaking stroke. I'm kind of genuinely scared that I'm going to be standing on the red carpet and freaking security's going to show up and go, hey, you got to get out of here. You can't come in here looking like that. I'm sorry. Like the smell of all the full gamer diapers if you walk in here wearing that. No. The gamer diapers are going to be full of number 1s and number 2s. They're going to be number 2s and out their trousers. You can't come in here dressed like that, buddy. You got to get out of here. You got to get out of here. I'm sorry. You got to get out of here. But I'm going to give it the old college try. We're going to give it the old college try. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed seeing my jacket for a while. I need to pose for the thumbnail for this week's stream. No, that's no good. That's no good. We'll find a thumbnail. We'll find a thumbnail. I don't know what my dog is doing in there. But everybody make sure you vote for Mimsy's game because the audience is a jury member. Every member of the audience is a single jury member. So you got to do it. If Mimsy does not win this game award, it will be perfectly fine, probably. I don't think Mimsy's laughing. I don't think we're going to cry. I have received a few DMs from haters informing me that there's no way woke trash like Mimsy's game is gonna win, so it is futile. A guy used the word futile in a DM to me to describe my upcoming trip wearing this to the Game Awards. He used the word futile. Your efforts to your attendance of the Game Awards is futile. Woke filth like Mimsy's game will never win. First of all, the category's literally called Best Woke. First of all, okay? You're kind of actually making a good case for it winning. That's number one. Number two, if you want to talk about how Mimsy's not going to win, you can DM her directly on Instagram. You can post hate in her comments. There was a guy recently who posted a comment on one of Mimsy's Insta reels. Actually, we're not gonna look this guy up. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna put him on blast. For the same reason I'm not mentioning my tailor's name. It's because I'm not doing free advertisement. It's highly likely that one of the members of my tailor's staff is watching this stream right now, in which case, Dan, if you'd like me to mention the name of your brand and shill for you, you gotta give me a discount. That's like number one. You gotta freaking give me a discount because you're killing me here. I'm just kidding. I can handle the cost. You gotta give me a little bit more, a little bit more of a taste. I'll sell. I've already gotten like 4 clients for these guys. Okay, I can do more. That's just like word of mouth in person. I didn't even blast it on the internet yet. Mimsy got a comment from someone. I'm not going to put the commenter himself on blast. I'm not going to actually like mention who the commenter is. I love the phrase put somebody on blast to describe promoting their stuff. So Mimsy, where is it? I don't even know which one was it. Anyway, so Mimsy's game has a scene in it where the character goes to church, right? They go to church. And the point is that the church segment does not fix the character's life. They go to church being like, I'm going to go see Jesus. Spoilers. Immediately afterward, it's like, oh, oops. Jesus didn't freaking help. Wow, wait, there is a hate comment from someone mentioning the Game Awards. I feel sorry for you. You sank so low just to hype up. Your game with max online of around 300 people got nominated for the best indie game? Nonsense, BS. This person had. That's not the person we're talking about. So the comment that we saw that we were laughing so hard at was someone saying, I'd appreciate it if you added a content warning about the unskippable scene where you go to church. Oh, and Mimsy said, we did add a content warning to the Steam description. And he goes, all you said was there's a scene with Jesus, but it doesn't last very long. And that's not exactly a content warning. And it's like this guy, I mean, no offense to him. But anyway, we looked at this freaking guy's Instagram page, and it was wall-to-wall flavor blasted with furry porn. No offense. No offense to a furry person. No offense. But one of his top posts was a freaking, like, big old, thick dragon woman with giant breasts and huge nipples being licked by a cow woman. I'm not kink shaming him. I'm just saying he should have included a content warning about that in his comment. That was worded really, really weirdly. It was worded weirdly enough to get me to click, right? It was worded like straight. I'm like, this seems like a peculiar person, right? This seems peculiar. There should have been a content warning on there. Someone could get scandalized. So that's the kind of person objecting to Mimsy's game being nominated for an award. Right? That's the kind of person is... this was a dragon lady with enormous nipples. The nipples were freaking huge, like nipples the size of like skulls. I don't know what that means. There was a cow woman as well. Just saying. Anybody who wants the guy's find it yourself. I think his comment is gone. Did you delete his comment, Mimsy? Oh, she didn't. Maybe he deleted his own comment, which honestly would have been. It honestly would have been good. Man, okay, so the anti-Christian people are really weird. Because there's one that's like, please check the reviews of this game if you intend to buy it. It's in none of the promo or advertising or even on the Steam page, but this game heavily pushes Christian themes and promotes it above things like talking with loved ones, exercising, etc. Please be aware if you have an aversion to religious material. Man, it's a plot point. I'm sorry. And then there's a reply that says, oh, FR, space, question mark, exclamation point. I don't know, man. It's particularly galling because you just get a response that's, oh, FR. And then that's it. That's the last word needed is, oh, FR. I just find it interesting that people are constantly saying, why don't you make a trailer instead of just posting your TikToks? Why don't you post a trailer? I wish I knew where to buy it. It's like, it's on Steam. There's a trailer on Steam. Just go to Steam. Like, what's freaking wrong with people? You should make a trailer instead of doing this. Like, there is a trailer. Just go look for it. It's on Steam. The trailer's on Steam. You should do it. You know, I mean, I know a thing or two about people. I made a video series on Kotaku, for example, about Final Fantasy VII. And I constantly got comments on like part 4 of the series. Will he ever continue this series? And then replies that were like, Kotaku, I think, fired him. And it's like, no, I did freaking finish the series like years ago. Just like, holy Lord. It's a playlist. It's on a playlist. It's on a freaking playlist. Comments on the second to last episode where it says, at the end he says there's another episode coming, but it never released. It's like, it's freaking there. It was released like a week later. It's freaking there. You just got to look for it. I understand algorithms make things hard or whatever. JJ Signal points out that people are rapidly becoming media literate. Yeah. Lowercase J points out that Lowercase J has a theory that whoever made the trailer for Mimsy's video game is really handsome. I don't know who made it. Do we know who made it? Jerry, do you know who made the trailer for your game? She's just laughing. She can't. She doesn't know. Anyway, the whole Steam review bombing from people who are averse to Christian stuff kind of makes me think it's interesting that we live in a world with Mortal Kombat fatalities, right? But somebody can't have a part where the player goes to church. We live in a world where you assassinate a priest at the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris in Assassin's Creed Unity. Wait, maybe that's actually something they like. But we can't have a person like sit in a church. It's a cutscene. It's a cutscene. And the whole scene is about how religion doesn't fix her problem. The whole scene, right, Jerry? The whole thing is, oh, this doesn't fix anything. This doesn't fix it. That's the whole purpose of it. And the fact that someone says this game heavily pushes Christian themes, saying it's more important than talking to your loved ones or exercise or whatever, and then someone just replies, oh, FR? Oh, FR? Oh, I found the person. Huh, weird. Looks like my comment didn't save. If you have a CW for fat phobia, you should also add a CW for the religious elements that are unskippable. Yeah. That isn't really a CW, he replies. It's more along the lines of an ambiguous joke. It's a very cute game, but that's certainly something I'd want to know going into a cozy game. Just a bit of food for thought. And it's like, this guy's page is, oh my God.
Oh, I clicked on it. It's so funny. It's like 3 pictures of his face. And then, I mean, he's got like a serious case of incel face. No offense. No offense. Like, and then it's just the dragon lady licking the cow lady's ear and with the huge nipples art. It's just really funny that he would post something about trigger warnings. I just think that's funny. It's just funny to me. Not shaming him. It's fine, you know. All the stuff is fine. It's all fine. I'm just saying. It's all fine. It's just, I don't know. If you're cool with that, right? If you're cool with that, maybe you could. We live in a post-Mortal Kombat 11 fatalities world. Have you seen the fatalities in Mortal Kombat 11? They made the freaking artists look at real-life photos of car crash victims, okay? They actually made them do it, right? By the way, MFW, I see the Dragon Lady nipples, right? That's me right there. That's MFW. That's TFW, MFW. I see the Dragon Lady nipples. They made the people look at car crash victims. Some of those fatalities are sick. Have you freaking seen them? Some of them are sick. Yeah, they just put a rated M for mature. It's fine. I'm not scandalized because I'm a full-grown, middle-aged, straight, white, college-educated American male. And one of our things is we don't complain about that stuff, right? And the least I can do is not argue with anybody who does, right? But I'm just saying. Also, Mimsy's game isn't a cozy game. It's not a cozy game. It has mechanics. It has mechanics. It has systems. It has conflict. It has fail states. It has a story that goes some dark places. A cozy game is something you can mindlessly click on and go, A cozy game is a game you can tweet a GIF of before it comes out to say, NGL, literally me. That's a cozy game, right? Oh, you can pet dogs. What if, I know there's so many games where you can pet the dog, but I sometimes just want a game where all you do is pet dogs. Am I right? 39,700 likes, right? Not complaining. If you like cozy games, that's fine. It's all fine with me. I'm not complaining if that's what you like. It's all okay, in my opinion. I honestly, I play cozy games about as often as I look at dragon lady pornography on purpose. Which is when it's relevant to a stream. Lowercase j is right. CW should stand for cozy warning. Do you like how I punched that up for you? We should have cozy warnings. Warning. No fail state in this game. Someone says, as long as the dog survives, that's all I care about. There's literally a whole website called doesthedogdie.com that started as a database, a community, a peer-reported database, user-submitted database of whether the dog dies or survives in a movie. Didthedogdie.com. And they have a category, no joke. They let you kind of search for all sorts of content warnings. They have a category, and I use this honestly to find movies where horses die, because, I got a little project going on. I got a little project going on. I got a little project going on. They allow you to actually search for on the question, does the dragon die? There's a whole subcategory called does the dragon die? I'm not even kidding. This person must have got completely shredded by Dragonheart as a kid. But it's a category on there. And you know what? That's fine. What I would like is if there was a category, does the dragon have big, massive, meaty nipples? I would appreciate that as a category. Someone in the chat said, does the dragon have big nipples.com? I was building up to that. Lowercase j LMAO'd you while I was arriving at my punchline. So I was robbed of you freaking burglarized an LMAO from me, which is fine because what am I if not a man in an impeccably tailored sport jacket making jokes with no laugh track, no audible audience. Nobody even knows. Nobody can prove how funny I am or not. It's interesting, right? It's interesting. Anybody who wants to see this guy's Instagram, here's what I want you to do. I want you to PayPal me $20 and I'll tell you his Instagram. I actually almost posted a comment on the dragon nipple picture that said that was just going to be at Zuck. Bro, check out these huge nipples, LMAO. I almost did that because I thought it would be funny, but then I thought it's a little too similar to online conservatives, like adding the FBI in a response to like a joke about, something. I just thought, it's a little too similar. And, I'm a big Avatar fan, so I'm not talking trash about anybody who's into, like, dragon ladies. I think stretched out Smurfs is, like, weirder. I honestly think that sexualized, huge-breasted, thick, big-nippled dragon woman is, like, as much of a fetish, like, on the exact equal level as, like, Smurfs that have been stretched so they're 10 feet tall, 8 feet tall, doing action with guns on boats with whales. I think it's about the same level of fetish. So I'm not throwing stones here. I'm not throwing stones. Comfy Lynn just showed up in the chat wielding the sword of the moderator. Yeah, you missed a lot of discussion of if you'd like to know more. Let's just say there's a dragon lady with large nipples and a cow lady who's getting her ear licked by the dragon lady. And it's the artist doesn't like the religious content in Memsy's video game. But you'll check it out, You'll learn about it eventually if you listen to the VOD. The stretched Smurfs are the Avatar. They're the Na'vi. They're the Na'vi. It's me pretending that I don't know what the tall blue people are called. They're called Na'vi. At any rate, it's been 3 hours of me sitting here just talking trash about myself or whatever it is. I've got to go to the bathroom. Until next time, remember, Tuppus Brispy, Pippus Capus, and Tuppus Brispy, Tuppus Capus, Pippus Capus, Tuppus Brispy, Brispy Tuppus, right? Remember all of that, or like whatever it was. Tuppus Brispy, Pippus Capus, Tuppus Brispy, Tuppus Brispy, Tuppus Brispy, Tuppus Brispy. Brispy, kind of brisk, kind of crispy, somewhere like that. Tuppus Brispy. If you see me on the street, first of all, say hello. Can I just say, I've said on streams numerous times that if you see me in public, Say hello. Okay? Number one. Don't look at me and go, like, nudge your wife and go, that guy's freaking crazy on YouTube. Don't do that. Don't nudge your wife. I see you doing it every time. Not part of the times, not some of the times. I see you doing it every time. That guy over there is freaking crazy on YouTube. That guy over there's freaking. He goes. People's be wild and on YouTube. Like, I know that. I can see it. Okay. I see you doing it. Just say hello. Number one. I say that often. Well, in the last 2 weeks, something fun has happened, which is I have had 2 confrontations with stream viewers in public, confrontations I call them, where the guy very clearly is saying hello against his wishes. He wants to not say hello. He wants to, but he's afraid that I spied him. He's afraid that I noticed him. So he approaches me and goes, "Hey, Tim Rogers, what's up? Just say I like your videos. Oh, I gotta go though. I gotta go." Right? And I'm like, man, am I ruining these people's day by appearing before them dressed in the way they would expect me to be dressed? I mean, yes. And that's part of being a semi-public person, a D-list and more like a G, an H-list celebrity. That's what it is. That's what it is, right? Tuppence Brisby. Tuppence Brisby. If you see me on the street and you just give me a Tuppence Brisby to you or something like that. Tuppence Brisby is a pretty good phrase, actually. I think Tuppence Brisby's the star. A linguist's conjurer's trick, we call this. I've actually got to freaking go. I got to eat something. I got to freaking go. What's wrong with me? Why am I still here? I'm talking about Tuppence Brisby. G'day is pretty close to Tuppence Brisby, and if I'm ever in Melbourne, I'll be wandering around in this jacket. Should the season permit. If I'm ever there, Tuppence Brisby sounds like a PSP JRPG protagonist. I played so many PSP JRPGs that I'm like Brave Story, Blade Dancer, right? Jewel Summoner, yeah. You're dead on. Genie Diarchy, yeah. I like Genie Diarchy. I think that one's fun. It's not very good. It's it actually sucks, but I like it. I like it. Wild Arms XF is the real GOAT for PSP strategy games. Tuppence Brisby LLC. Tuppence Brisby. Tuppence none the Brisper. No. Okay, that's it. That's enough, actually. We're done. We're done. You ruined it. You stretched it. We were stretching it. We were having a good time stretching it, but you freaking snapped it off. You freaking snapped it off. It's fun to stretch it sometimes, but you don't need to snap it off. Stretch it till it snaps off. Bend it till it breaks. Tuppence Brisby Pippus Capus. Bucket full of snakes. Smoke it deep and smoke it sweet, smoking that weed down baby boy street. Smoke it wild and smoke it grand, they be smoking good ones all over this land. Smoke a good one tonight, smoke a good one tonight. Smoke a good one tonight if the feeling is right. Smoke a good one tonight, smoke a good one tonight. Smoke a good one. Good night. you.